Welcome back to the Protodead podcast, where anything goes, but we have a strong focus on music, movies, books, and video games, basically any form of media that we like to be entertained by. Please forgive any background noise that you may hear from our microphones, because we're family men, and our families like to play too. I'm Protodead, your host, and today my guest is Matachu. What's up, fuckface?
How's it going, dude?
It's going pretty fucking good. How you feeling?
Too bad. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, the heat beating the shit out of you.
Yeah, it has been.
Tell me about the heat you've been exposed to in the past few days.
Last couple of days has been pretty rough. It's like over 100 degrees every day. Working outside has been kicking my ass. Just get home wore out and exhausted every day. Try not to do too much while I'm at work.
Yeah? And you still get paid good for that?
Oh, yeah. Still make the same money.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's good whenever you can figure out a way to kind of like, massage the system down a little bit.
Absolutely.
But you're out in the heat like all the fucking time.
Yes.
Out in the weather, cold, rain, whatever.
Whatever. That's it.
That sucks, man.
It's been all right. Like I'm used to it, but like this week, it's just that time where you just gotta grit your teeth and get through it and adapt to it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait for this shit to be over with so we can go on to the next major, climate crisis.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on the acid rain.
Yeah, you know what's funny? It's like acid rain used to be like you remember being taught that in high school or in middle school?
Oh yeah.
Like acid, you remember seeing the pictures in the books that they like it was absolutely important that we learn that the statues like in Venezuela and shit were melting.
Yeah, the pyramids were going to be gone by the time I
Yeah. Now, what the hell is the deal with that shit?
And then they jumped right from that to killer bees invading the U.S. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Wow.
Crisis averted.
Crisis, yeah, no more acid rain, folks.
Now we just got
now it used to be Ice Age. We're headed for a new Ice Age.
Yes. Yeah.
And then apparently everybody forgot about that. And then it became
solar warming.
Yeah, it was global warming. Everything's going to get super hot. And some people maybe it is, dude. Like, don't get me wrong, but it certainly feels like you don't think that the people that have power to throw words your way, you don't think that those people are the same people that told us about acid rain and fucking the next Ice Age 2 and shit?
Just like with all the current stuff going on, it's like just growing up from the 80s, I could sit here and I try to think about all the fear mongering, like all the different events they said was going to happen, like acid rain, killer bees, like your kids are going to get molested if you go to church, your kids are going to get molested if they go to school, your kids are going to get molested if you go to McDonald's, Boy Scouts, and then Y2K. I mean, it's just like,
oh yeah.
Then it was bird flu, swine flu. I mean, the flu.
What happened to Zika? It came and went.
Yeah. No.
I was afraid I was going to get microcephaly in my cranium, but it never happened.
You sure?
Have you seen pictures of me lately?
No micro?
Yeah. No, it ain't micro, it's macro. I got a big fucking noggin.
All right. Well, it's probably because you grew out that nice samurai cut to keep it protected. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't wear top knots anymore in my hair because people started doing man buns, and I had to fucking get rid of that shit.
Like, this dude's man bun is whack.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, man, but yeah, absolutely. I like people act like, I don't know, they act like it's a new thing.
It's all new information. Like, contrast and compare. Like, remember, have a memory span that's bigger than a goldfish's.
Exactly. Yeah. You think that is because, like, people want and this is what I think, like every sports team or every album or just different stuff, every event is the new great thing because they want their lifetime in existence to be like the most important in history or something. They just want it to be relevant in some way, like their life or the time they live in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're talking about the people that make entertainment.
The people that make entertainment, but even the people that accept it. Like, I don't know. I try not to do it too much, but being online and like hearing people talk and I try to get involved in comment sections too much just because there's so many trolls out there. You get pulled into these arguments that are ridiculous, but
That are meant just to feed off of your energy.
it seems like.
Yeah.
But there's actually people out there that just think this way. But seems like they just everything that happens now is greater than anything that's ever happened before.
Yeah, it's more significant because it's only the people who are alive that can evaluate it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's only us whom is currently still alive, and we I mean, maybe some of us out there are pretty depressed and really hate the state of everything, but I think the general populace likes to believe we're at the pinnacle of mankind. We're the highest as far as technology that has ever been. And hey, I'm not saying I believe in Atlantis, but I'm just saying maybe they had different technology back then, and it's all been lost to time.
Yeah.
But we like to believe that we're as advanced as anybody has ever been on this planet, and that may actually not be the case.
Yeah. I think you may be right about that. Like, and maybe we are, but the next generation after that, they're going to be more advanced than us.
And they're going to think we're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Right. And meanwhile, we look at them and they're like, "God, these kids are retarded." Like, there's something wrong with this new generation of people.
They're listening to mumble rap.
Yeah. But there was like a big, like and here I'm going to do the same thing I was just talking about. But there was like from the 80s when I was a child and the 90s growing up, there was a vast technological leap that, like it or love it, that happened that changed people's outlook and way of life.
Yeah.
Like I remember in high school having to do a current event, and I stood up there and I talked about how a DSL connection was going to change our lives. People didn't understand how big this was going to happen. We was going to get like internet, because at the time it was still dial up and shit. But
Yeah.
I was like, y'all don't understand like the things that are coming, like, and I was talking about stuff like email and just having a phone that you had the capability to, browse the web. And
even then you didn't understand.
Didn't have the full understanding of the impact it was about to make. Yeah.
Right. But maybe at the time you had read enough articles to realize that this was going to revolutionize the way we learn and the way we communicate.
Yeah, and people were like, "What? The internet? It's just a bunch of like data."
It's a bunch of, I think the internet that I had was just a text. What chat rooms were?
Yeah, AOL chat rooms. Yeah,
you were just trying to type sex stuff to people.
Yeah, just trying to get people to talk about anal.
Yeah, and it wasn't that difficult either.
No, it's like every conversation, like, "Hey, how are you doing? My name is so and so. I live in Hawaii." And it's like, "Oh, okay, cool." Then start talking dirty and essentially like shoved it in her. Yeah, that didn't last long.
We got there quick this time.
Got really quick.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I was about 12 doing that.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit younger. I think you're just a little bit older than I am.
Yeah.
I remember leaving all that behind, and it was maybe fast forward 3 or 4 years before I ever really cared about the internet again, because I didn't understand. Like, it wasn't growing. Like there was a period where it was like amorphous and it really wasn't doing anything.
It wasn't even like Facebook in its infancy was like pretty lame, even and MySpace and stuff like that. That's when it kind of started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Social media, anyway.
Yeah, I never did MySpace, and I didn't care. I didn't understand it, but I didn't care to understand it. I never did Facebook. I've got a Facebook account, and you may have seen me on there. I've communicated with you a few times, but
Yeah,
you'd be like one of the only people I ever sent text messages to.
right. And that's good for you, man. I mean, I wish I'd never got involved with it as much as I did. You know,
Yeah.
especially now it's all politicized, and you can definitely see where a lot of these big tech companies stand on a lot of stuff, and it's like there's so much politics anymore. I just don't even want to see it.
Hmm. Yeah, I get on TikTok. I like making TikTok videos, but I don't. None of them are any good, and all of them are pretty stupid. But TikTok is really great for absolutely just brain dead, instant
And it's
gratification,
entertainment. That's it, and that's the beauty of it, though. It's like you don't really have to have an agenda or
and you don't have to search anything up. You can just hit. You can just scroll with your thumbs. So just as
there you
fast
go.
as you can hit the scroll.
And you don't have to have like a fake persona like everybody does on Facebook. Everybody tries to act like they're holier than thou, or they live these great lives on Instagram and there's everything else. You just get on there, watch a stupid video, and go to the next
Make it. Yeah, maybe make a video comment back, and then move on with your day.
one. Yes.
Yeah. Uh,
What do you still doing your YouTube? Oh my God.
well, yeah. I'm right now. I've been kind of taking a big break from the video gaming thing.
Yeah.
Um, I needed. I've been doing a lot of overtime, and they made mandatory. They made overtime mandatory at the plant for 6 months.
Oh wow.
So for 6 months, I've been working 10.5 hours a day,
You know what that
unless
means, right? It means next year
no.
they're gonna lay off 600 people.
Yeah, correct. Um, it's really, it's been tiring, and it's sapped what little extra time I've had available to do anything. It's pretty much siphoned it off because I need to get so much sleep a night. I'm not going to sacrifice my sleep, and we still got some stuff to do outside of me sitting in front of the fucking computer. So my uploading videos for video game stuff has slowed down drastically. But the podcast thing I've become a little bit more interested in because it allows me to connect to um, close friends that are super intelligent that probably have intelligent things to say, like yourself.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that's really cool. Because you get into stuff. Maybe you watch a movie, and you got some things you want to say about the movie, or maybe you listen to music and shit.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear your thoughts and opinions about stuff. So I didn't know if you wanted to jump straight into the book thing yet, or if you wanted to talk about maybe some movies that you've seen lately or anything.
Um, whichever way you want to go. But I really haven't really watched any interesting movies lately. I've really been watching this Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Oh yeah, dude,
I kind of like
I
it.
you kind of like it.
I kind of like it a lot.
I kind of don't like it.
You don't?
But I'm not gonna like shit all over it and like make you feel bad because
Oh
you
no, you
kind of
already
like
did.
it.
Thanks a lot. What is it you
No,
don't like about it? Is it not like? Is it because it's its own entity? It doesn't follow any already established storyline, or
no, that would be totally cool if it did that, but it doesn't seem like it does that.
no? I don't think
It
it does.
seems it seems like it kind of shits all over everything that came before.
Oh really?
I think that's the biggest problem I got with it.
See, I never really got like too much into the Star Wars books. I read a few, but none of them were
Yeah.
really like. Um, well, the ones I read were like later, after the fact. Like the new Star Wars movies are not accurate to the books.
No. Now Disney when they bought that shit from George Lucas, they said all the books were non-canon, so none of the books mattered anymore as far as the story goes.
Exactly.
So that doesn't even matter.
So, like from what I remember, it was like, what was it, Jason and Jana, or what was Leia's
Yeah,
twins' names?
yeah. Jason Solo and I don't remember the
Jana,
twins'
I think it was
name.
Jana, wasn't
Maybe. Yeah,
it?
I mean it wasn't very inventive names, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I didn't read some of those books. Some of those books I don't really remember too much of. I mean, the Thrawn Trilogy was like the best. Almost. I would say probably arguably the Thrawn Trilogy was the best.
Was that
And then,
was that after
yeah, that
Jedi?
was after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. That might be the series I'm thinking of, but or
That's the one that had the Admiral dude that was like trying to
find the dreadnought.
rally. Yeah, had rallied what was left of the Empire, and he was like a big blue alien that was like turbo smart and knew all these tactics and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been part of the series I read, or it might have been just before.
Maybe.
The one I really remember was like they were looking for these lost dreadnought ships. That there was like a whole battalion of these star destroyers that they were searching for.
Damn it, man! I can't. I'm remembering, but I'm trying to remember the general's name that was like leading the charge
For
in
that.
support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Antagonist name, but he was like a super smart, always like a step ahead.
Yeah, that could have been the Thrawn trilogy. I don't know, but man, back to this Obi-Wan shit. The problem I've got, the major problem I've got with Obi-Wan is the first movie that came out back in the 70s, the late 70s, called A New Hope, heavily insinuates when Obi-Wan Kenobi meets Darth Vader on the ship or whatever, it heavily insinuates that they haven't seen each other for a very long time.
Yes, yeah.
Right, and also whenever they talk to Leia about Obi-Wan, she's not like, oh yeah, dude, we went on like a fucking crazy adventure.
I
was kidnapped and
yes.
When she leaves a secret message in R2-D2 that says, General Kenobi, you was you fought with my father in the Clone Wars, and now I'm reaching out to you for your help. That's not a message to a guy where she's like, hey, it's Leia. You remember you rescued me? Like, she calls him General Kenobi, not Obi-Wan, or not. It's been so long since we've spoke. 10 years since we spoke last.
I was thinking the same, but I was thinking, she does know him. She does.
But in the movie, in the first movie, it heavily implies she only knows of Obi-Wan through the information her father gave her.
Yeah, you're right.
So this series, they could have made an Obi-Wan show that had nothing to do with Leia.
Or Vader.
That had nothing to do with Vader at all. But instead, they chose to fuck all that shit up. I mean, I can't even remember now. There's just so many problems that I had with it.
The worst thing that can happen to your favorite story, your favorite books, is for the production companies to get a hold of them and decide we're going to make an HBO show out of it, or we're going to make, a movie like, oh my God, the Game of Thrones series. I love.
Yeah, you want to talk about the eighth? You want to talk about the 8th season? Shit.
No, I don't.
Yeah, nobody does.
So pissed off about. First off, I'm pissed off that I devoted all that time into reading all those books, and I waited like 3 years for this book to come out, and then
next thing Winds of Winter.
Yeah, next thing you know, the series on HBO is past where I left off in the books, and none of the storylines are adding up. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I could choke the shit out of George R.R. Martin. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Every time I see that dude do a podcast or make anything on social media, I'm like, write your fucking book.
Yeah, everybody. I need to read them. I haven't read them.
He probably will never write another word of that just because he's like, man, forget these people.
He's a real piece of work. That stupid asshole. How can you commit to creating a outlining, and you're like, I know it's going to be, how many books is it? 6?
Oh. How many?
Anyway,
yeah, I think it was 6.
So Stephen King knew it was going to be 7 books when he was like halfway through the Dark Tower series. He's like, okay, I'm putting out number 4, Wizard and Glass, there's going to be 3 after this. Like, that's concrete. He's
Okay.
figured it out. He knew where the outline was and what he could fit into each volume. George R.R. Martin is the same way, except he's taken 20 years to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And how can you get to like 69 years old and then just be like, well, I guess I'm just going to start writing for this video game that's coming out in 2 years, and I'm going to start writing for this TV show that nobody gives a fuck about.
Writing about sports and, like just random shit. But
Ooh.
I've always kind of got, okay, so George R.R. Martin, he's a great writer in the sense that his character development and his paradigm shifts and everything, like, it's like he is great for encapsulating a character, but he also seems very disorganized. Like Stephen King is very organized, but when Stephen King says I'm going to finish in 7 books, he's giving himself a deadline, because that guy will keep going and keep going and keep going, like whereas I feel like George R.R. Martin's the same way, except for he's not as organized. Like some of his storylines, like you feel like he's going somewhere with something, and then it just gets lost. Even before the HBO series, just even in the books, like you get to certain parts of the storyline, like where's he going with this? Like direwolves. What was the whole significance?
Yeah, I don't.
Of wolves? What was like
in the show? It felt like they just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, well, even in the books, it's like, well, I mean, they kind of had more relevance in the books, but still not like as much. What happened to? Okay, so the dragons were going to have 3 riders. Who was the 3 riders?
Yeah,
I guess it was the Night King and Daenerys and Jon Snow in the end, but that's not the way. None of it panned out the way you would think. Like, I don't think, sometimes I think he starts storylines, he doesn't really know where he's going with it. Whereas
and
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, and maybe that's healthy, but you've got to, like, healthy as in like a problem to solve, but you have to have solved the problem before you release the bit to the mass.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
like Stephen King couldn't have written, like Volume 4, Wizard and Glass, but then only got halfway through it and was like, I'll figure out the rest later. I'll just release it in half a volume. I'll just say, this is half a book, guys. And then like, I'll just figure out how it ends later. And then not know how to fucking tie it together and then just give up on it. Like,
well, yeah, I've added so many characters, and now I got to do, like, this novel is just going to be about this group of characters, and then my next novel will be about this group of characters. Then your timeline in your head as a reader is all fucked up. You're trying to figure out, okay, so when this happened, at this point in the story, where were these people? Like, and that's how he did it. Like, I can't remember if it was Feast for Crows or which ones it was that just like, okay, we're going to leave these characters alone for a while, and we're just going to talk about these characters.
yeah. So in the book, does it do that for like a chapter, or does it do that for like half of the book?
It does it for a whole book, like
a whole book. So,
yeah. In the Game of Thrones series, like he focuses on. It got to a point where he would mention characters, but he wasn't really telling their story at that time, like what was going on with Arya or Jon Snow or Sansa or whatever. This is going to be about Daenerys and stuff that's going on in Dorne or whatever it was, and I don't know. It got really. It was good. It was still great reading, but at the same time, you have to really go back and piece together in your mind, like, okay, so what was the actual timeline structure of this as it was going on in the show? I think they messed it up. Their timeline never added up to with the books.
Yeah, but also the last season 6, season 7, and season 8, they didn't have any books really to go off of. And the people apparently that took over the writing for the show had no fucking clue what to do or where it was going or how to fucking. I mean, it would be like me writing half a story and then sending it to you and telling you to end it. Like even if you could write, like even if I could write, you would be coming up with completely different words and a style and shit. It'd be different.
Right, and I would be going off your storylines, thinking, okay, well, this is where he was going with this, and maybe it wasn't. Like 99% of the time, it's not going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they did okay with ending it. Not everybody. I want to say not everybody. Most people didn't like the ending. I was okay with it. it was just like certain loose ends and whole storyline stuff that were never added up. It doesn't complete the book series for me. It was a great ending for the show. It was an okay ending for the show.
I
It
think it
does
was a
not.
terrible ending.
I mean, yeah, it's
I
like
mean, they had characters acting out of character. They had like characters that made sense in all the previous seasons, except for maybe season 7. Season 6 was kind of like, on the fence, but they had characters just making wild decisions that was completely out of character, doing weird shit because the script said so,
right.
as opposed to this is how the character would actually react in the situation.
And he's great at evolving his characters, but for like Daenerys, for example, to go from this great leader to all of a sudden just being a straight
Absolutely batshit fucking
crazy, yeah. And
and vengeful and shit.
had been a little more progressive, it might have been.
It was like she went from everybody says this is the danger with this character that she's gonna do the crazy stuff, and it was like she continued to prove that she was stable and she was in control, and that she had a lot of good stuff going on. And then the script said, well, no, she's gonna go crazy and cause a bunch of havoc. So make her go crazy and cause a bunch of havoc.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that because I mean, to me, that's part of a good story. But had it, like I said, had it been more progressive and a little more detailed, it'd been more palatable. Like instead of just like that, you look at like Jamie Lannister's character development throughout. You start out the series and you're like, this guy is the absolute world's biggest piece of shit. Like
Sure, for sure.
Jesus. And Cersei too, but Cersei stays true to her character. But Jamie, you see this big, okay, so
And now it becomes a little bit more likable, and he's kind of
yes.
redeemed
And
himself a little
then you
bit. And
start
then,
seeing the things that happened to him that made him the way he is. And now you can,
you understand.
yeah, you can relate to him. Or Ned Stark, for example, he comes off as very noble, very uh, like a great hero, But then
Yeah,
as soon as he gets to King's Landing, you start seeing that he's human and he starts making errors. It's like he's not
sure.
not Superman. He's fallible, and what
Yes,
leads to his demise. And which his character development was very short as compared to the
Sh-
rest, but
sure it was. But
but you
they, but
see it
they,
happening in real time.
but they kind of went back and recontextualized a little bit of what you knew about his character, because it's kind of like it's iterated again that he obviously cheated on his wife, whom he loves, to create this bastard son.
That
Right?
he wasn't perfect, yes,
He went off and did this and never gave an explanation and wouldn't fucking talk about it.
right.
And you would think you'd get an explanation, but then you finally do, and you find out that it's much worse than that in a way, depending on which way. Like he made a promise to hide the kid and whatever,
He was protecting
because of
he was protecting John because of the Lannisters' hate for the Targaryens. Yes, or
sure,
they wanted to
right,
kill them all.
right, and
And
in a way
Baratheons
that
too.
maybe it's more noble, but in another way, it's like, oh, that's a bigger fucking problem than just having a bastard son with some whore.
And that,
That's a bigger problem.
yeah, because the fact that he went to war and overthrew the Targaryens, which don't get me wrong, the Mad King needed to be overthrown, but
For sure.
at the same time, there was a whole war off of that because they thought that his sister had been kidnapped and raped by Rhaegar. Whole
But
reason
they
why
were,
Robert Baratheon became king and everything,
yeah, and it was all on a lie because they actually,
all in a
she
lie.
didn't get it. She didn't get abducted.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I hope by now everybody who wants to see it or read it has done so.
Yeah, and if you haven't, too fucking bad.
uh, so, are there any other? Is there any series? I know you're wanting to get into Dark Tower, and I do too. But are there any series that you're reading or you have read since the last time we spoke that uh, are worth checking out?
No,
No.
no. I've been reading a lot more here lately. Because I've been making a conscious effort to stay away from my phone more often. So I've been reading books at work, and I've probably read maybe 10 books in the past year. But none of them I would recommend as being like, dude, you got to stop what you're fucking doing and read this book.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got like a couple series that I tried reading and I just could not get into it, could not stay in it. One of them was the Malazan Book of the Fallen, I think is what it's called, like Garden of the Moon, and there's a few of them. But I tried reading that thing, and actually, guy we used to work with is the one that got me started on it.
Kevin Grizzle?
No, it wasn't Kevin. It was what was that guy's name? He used to test over in Large Ball area. He's kind of an older dude, nerdy, skinny.
Oh, Jeff.
Jeff.
He had a bald head, and he also had like schizophrenia.
Yes, kind of crazy.
Yes. Yeah, he was a little bit goofy, and he always like say, "Thank you for your time."
Thank you. Yes, you know, thank you for your time. It's like, are you being a dick right now, dude? Every time he said it, like, I don't feel like he really was appreciative of my time.
No, you're being sarcastic,
aren't you?
Yeah, man. I kind of miss that dude because he tried to do everything the right way, and there's not a whole lot of people up there that really give a fuck.
He was super intelligent, which made him very unhappy with his job because he was the only one that was really trying to do it the right way. And he's like, why are we not following protocol?
Yeah. Am I the only one reading the GOPs around here? Yeah, man.
It would drive him crazy.
Yeah. He came up to me. I can't remember his last name. His name was Jeff.
Yeah.
But he came up. Huh?
Jeff Simpson.
Was it Simpson?
No, I don't know. That sounded right for a second. But
no. I don't think it was.
Sound is right.
He came up to me and he said, "Hey, I just want to thank you for all the notes that you left on the Meritech B1 machine on the computer." And I'm like, "Wow, you found those?" And he was like, "Yeah, I was going through the old notebook that you left over there." And he said, you said specifically you were leaving digital notes on the computer for people, for setups and stuff. And I was like, man, I'm so glad that you got something out of that, because the testers up there most of those guys did the fucking bare minimum. They didn't give a fuck to understand how the machines work or nothing.
No, and if that program crashed, they didn't know how to manual test or nothing unless somebody told them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was the book called?
It's I want to say it's Malazan's Book of the Falling is the name of the series. The book is Garden of the Moon, I think, is the first one. I mean, it's interesting. I could tell it was like going to get better and better, but I just could not get into it.
So it was like high fantasy or like sci-fi?
Yes. Yeah, it's a sci-fi high fantasy book. It's trying to think of something I could relate it to.
Kind of like Lord of the Rings, but
no,
not as good.
No, not quite like that.
Sure, but it had like fairies and dwarves and shit.
No, it had more like people that were more like
it was all medieval
battles. Well, not it's medieval-ish, but also kind of more technologically advanced at the same time, if that makes sense. Like not quite just like straight up knights in armor type thing, but
we're gonna call it neo-ancient.
There you go. That sounds correct.
Yeah, neo-ancient.
But right now I'm kind of gotten into this book. I think it's called The Name of the Wind.
Oh yeah, I thought you were about to say The Gentleman's Guide to Blowjobs. No,
I've read that, and
I've got a signed copy.
I've edited and remastered it, and I've got it waiting.
I've actually added
the publicist. No words yet. It was a mouthful, though.
It was a mouthful. Yes. No, that's funny. So it's called the what?
The Name of the Wind. I think it's the name of the series is the King Killer Chronicles. But it seems pretty interesting so far, which I don't read hardly anymore. I do a lot of audiobooks.
Sure.
Which is
it's the same. Some people are like, "Oh, you don't read the actual words on a page, you just listen to it." And it's like, dude, I'm fucking doing something with my hands. So fuck off.
Right. I'm stimulating my brain in the same way. But the thing is about audiobooks, you gotta listen to it while you're doing something. Because I listen to them a lot at night. So I end up re-listening to the same shit over and over because I'm like, I fell asleep and
You nod off.
where I was at. Yeah. And then there is some stuff that you do absorb, whether you wake up or whatever. There'll be parts of like, I think I've heard this before, but none of the shit leading up to that do you remember.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things you got to do while you're driving or while you're working or doing something to keep your mind busy, but able to listen at the same time.
Yes, correct.
But I would do that with books too, though. I would be reading and I'd be like, do, and I'd start thinking about something and I'd be 5 pages going, like, dude, I don't know that I even.
Your eyes were just scanning over the words, but
Yes,
your
you're
mind was
reading it in your
someplace
head, but
else.
you're not absorbing it, you know? So I'm like, shit,
Yeah.
I gotta go back a page.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For
it's pretty good
sure.
so far. Like it's like a fantasy, medieval style fantasy. You know, there's magic and demons, not necessarily fairies or that type of stuff. It's gotta be like a Dungeons and Dragons or Forgotten Realms type book or something.
Okay. Cool.
That's worth checking out if you get on your Audible and you need to download something.
Yeah, so let me just actually type that down so I can remember it. It's called The Name of Wind.
Name of the Wind, yeah. I think it's shit, I don't want to lie to you here. Robert.
Robert E.
No,
Fuck my ass.
Patrick Rothfuss is the name of the author.
Jesus. Yeah, but let me tell you about a espionage book series that I have been reading, by the author of the name Will Jordan, and it's like a Jason Bourne sort of story. The first one is called Redemption in the series, and it's I mean, maybe it's a little bit Tom Clancy, so a little bit like the Jack Ryan, gotta solve some espionage shit, but it's all grounded. It's not like fantastic. It's all, he's got to fly to another country and uh, rescue a hostage or whatever the fuck,
I can get into that.
infiltrate a place. Yeah.
I like some of those types of books.
Right. So Will Jordan, I listened to the first one. It was a really good book. I really liked it. I'm gonna listen to the second one too. I got it on Audible, but the first book was just called Redemption because it's got a heavy redemption sort of theme. There's several characters that have a redemption sort of arc in it. So
Gotcha. And
Patrick Rothfuss, right?
yep, what a
Yeah.
strange name. I hope that's a pseudo name.
Who?
Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah, it's a pretty dumbass name. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to add it to my wish list so I can hit it later. Cool. Yeah, I'll give it a listen. Since I'm in the gauge lab now doing calibration shit, I can just plug the ear thing in my ear and.
Are you doing that full time now?
Yeah.
Well, so you're the new what is his name? Walter or
Arthur. Yeah, I'm the new Arthur. Some people like to say he's no longer with the company because, that's apparently the proper way to say it. But to put it plainly, he decided to cancel his employment services at the company because he found something else. So he severed his contract.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's another interesting way to say he got tired of your shit and left.
Yeah, man. I don't know the details about it. I don't really want to speak on his because I've contacted him a few times since because I've been like, dude, I reached out to him and I was like, man, I never like walked by and thought, man, Arthur just fucks off all day and doesn't do anything, sitting in the gauge lab.
People would say
Nice.
that.
I mean, I know people said that because I heard him fucking say it.
Right.
But I never thought that because I was mature enough to know that there's a whole bunch of shit that I don't know
going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. And so, and I reached out and I was like, dude, I've been doing the job for about 3 years now. You've been gone. Dude, it fucking sucks. It's like fucking hard.
In there.
Huh? What'd you say?
You were totally fucking off in there. This shit's easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just want to let you know that the secret's out, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything because I'm just going to chill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can listen to some audiobooks. And I have done that quite a bit here lately. I listened to a book called Tender is the Flesh on the recommendation of another person that was on my podcast, maybe about 10 podcasts ago. And I finally got around to listening to it. And I don't know if I'll ever talk to them again. You know,
was the book that bad?
That's funny because that's where your head went. But
yeah, it's like I finally got around to listen. I don't know if I'll ever talk to them again. It's like, wow.
Yeah, they're dead to me. No, but what I'm saying is I don't think I'll ever get to tell them that I actually did. Like, how many times have you, the human, ever been like, hey, fellow human, here is a piece of entertainment that I hold dear, that I discovered, that I think is really interesting, and I think you should also be interested enough in it to be exposed to it, and then take your suggestion and shit all over it and throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, it's happened. It is an occurrence.
But occasionally you do get like the Dark Tower series. My sister read it a long time ago, but she told me it was really good. But then you're the one that really like forced it on me. Like, you got to read these books. Here, take my copy.
Yeah, I did that, didn't I?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I became obsessed with it. Same with the Game of Thrones. It was Jeff that gave me the Game of Thrones books. Like, you got to read these. You'll like them.
Oh, and that was before the show came out, huh?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think it might have like just started. I just never watched it.
Okay.
It may have been just before, or it had maybe the first season was coming out or something. But I had never watched any of the show when I started reading the book.
Yeah. But you have all your own copies of the Dark Tower now, or you have them on audio?
Yeah, I got all the hard copies. I think the only one I don't have is the Gunslinger.
Damn, you don't?
Yeah, I think so, which is one of my favorite ones too.
It's good. It's short.
It's short. It's kind of an introductory book. It's kind of like The Hobbit compared to The Lord of the Rings. But
yeah,
I definitely liked it. So have you read any of the Wind Through the Keyhole, or
or the Little Sisters of Allura? Yeah, I have. I read them.
Yeah, what did you think of those?
Well, I didn't like the Wind Through the Keyhole. I liked the idea of it. Like there was another adventure that happened, in between. I like that whole idea. It's kind of like the James Bond thing. I've mentioned James Bond before, but it's kind of like James Bond, where like every movie could have taken place between any of the other movies. If you don't try to date the character, or it's a different actor playing the character, or they're a little bit older now than they were before, whatever the fuck. If you can just like erase all that, it's like each adventure is its own like little package. And I can totally.
You're starting to break up here.
That sucks. Am I sounding clearer now?
It comes and goes. You're kind of like a robot right now. I don't know if you are a robot.
I am a meat popsicle.
See, I'm the opposite. I really liked the Wind to the Keyhole. The Little Sisters, it was okay. I mean, I didn't hate it. It was a lot simpler of a story, a little bit more predictable for me. But I really enjoyed the Wind to the Keyhole a lot better.
Okay, what'd you like about it?
Well, I liked the story. So in the Dark Tower series, um, my favorite book is definitely probably Wizards and Glass. Like
For
when
sure.
Roland goes back and he tells like a little bit of his history, and you kind of get a little deeper into his character. So I enjoyed the Skin Man, but the story of the young boy
Yes. With the
coming
lion or whatever.
right coming in contact with Merlin and obviously Randall Flagg or Martin Broadcloak, whoever that guy is supposed to be, the auditor guy, the tax man.
Yeah, I don't remember the details anymore.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's definitely a reoccurring character, like his antagonist.
Yeah. I like the concept of telling a story within a story within a story.
Yeah, because it's really three stories in one.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
really liked that because it had like more of a just like in Wizards and Glass, like it kind of has more of a fantasy feel to it than a sci-fi. You know, like the rest of the series is kind of sci-fi fantasy because it encapsulates different
yeah,
realms.
there's like cyborgs and there's like time travel and
Yeah,
you
and there's
know,
different planes of existence that people go through. You
Charlie
know,
the Choo Choo Train.
yeah, yeah. Blaine the mono.
Blaine the Mono, man. Blaine is a
That was
pain,
that
my
one
friend.
that one there was the roughest for me.
Really?
that
What?
part, yeah. I mean, it was like they destroyed an evil train by
Dude,
riddling it with nonsense riddles. Eddie Dean's
no, man, I'm
absolute.
telling you, he's a stud.
He is,
He's an
yeah,
absolute fucking giga chad.
he is.
I
He's
never, I
got to be
never saw
definitely
it
one of my
coming.
favorite characters.
Um, that portion in the story absolutely blew me away. So, just to recap, a little bit to get my mind fresh. They were trapped in the city of Lud, and
Right,
the city there was like two warring factions, and they were like going to basically fuck the characters up. Right? They were going to get fucked up.
right.
And then you had the TikTok man and his tertiary, this third group or whatever that was also bad people. And apparently their only way out was to ride this monorail, because it was also the way they needed to go further along the path of the beam, correct?
Correct.
And then
To,
so the
to get they couldn't traverse through Thunderclap. They had to. It wasn't a journey they was gonna be able to take on foot like they had
no, but yeah,
prior.
Thunderclap came much later.
Was it? Well, I know
Well,
when
yeah,
when they were on the mono, they were going through an area. They were going through areas. They would
it
have
was like
like giant,
lava and
and yes, all this different stuff that they wouldn't have been able to travel through.
no, right, and they apparently somehow knew that. I guess I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Roland did. Yeah,
And they had to ride this monorail whose AI had gone berserk,
absolutely berserk. And
and
it
the computer was going to kill them.
was going to kill itself, but it wanted to take them along for the ride.
Right.
Its only companion had already done so. It already killed itself, uh, which was another monorail,
Yes.
and it Blaine didn't have a good understanding of humans. It despised humans in a sense because of what had happened in Lud.
Hmm. Yeah.
And all it wanted
And
was to be riddled.
it wanted to do riddles, but it could beat every riddle they could come up with.
Right, because it's a true AI that not just
Already had all the answers were memorized.
right. It was a true AI where it had
The
progressed through
ability to
years.
think.
Right,
Yeah, so not only did it have all of that data preloaded as a computer does today,
right.
but also I think they invented new riddles and the computer still was able to like get it right off the bat. It was able
No,
to figure out what the answer should have been.
exactly.
until. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Roland had started out. They all started out using old riddles. Riddles they'd heard as kids, or he had done through the reaping time. Their festivals and stuff he remembered as a child, and it got to he was saving certain ones till the end that he thought for sure would stump it were ones that he had kind of come up on his own.
Yeah.
And it was able to figure them all out. But good old Eddie Dean was able to finally stump it.
Yeah.
It was such a smart machine that nonsensical thinking, it couldn't handle it.
It couldn't handle it. Yeah, it couldn't understand what a joke was.
Right.
So Eddie Dean was able to. He's sitting there struggling. Like what was interesting is Stephen King writes the character, like you can tell that he was on the cusp, but like on the precipice of having an epiphany.
Yes.
Just like when he was whittling the key.
He didn't know what he was doing. Exactly.
He didn't know what he was doing, but he knew that he had an idea and it was forming, but he couldn't understand what the idea was, but he knew it was important. And if he just kept thinking about it, the answer would come. And it just like he was struggling because it was I don't remember if it was like hurting him physically or he felt so angry at himself that he couldn't help at all because he didn't know any riddles.
Right. He's not a stupid person, but he's not an intellectual type either. He's not a deep thinker. He's a very smart character in a lot of different ways, but that's not his strong suit. So he felt helpless that he wasn't able to contribute more, but the call or fate or whatever it is leading him down a path that he doesn't really see, but he starts to come into understanding of, because every time he'd speak, he'd anger it, It absolutely did not like him. It liked Roland because Roland was this intellectual, had wisdom. So it really attached to him, but it couldn't stand Eddie Dean. Every time Eddie Dean would say something, it would anger it. And then I guess Eddie starts coming to the realization that that's the way to go. Like, to hell with keeping this thing happy. It's going to kill us anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not just that. He was going to try to force it to give him an answer that there was no answer to, or the answer was so nonsensical that the computer could never determine what it was, like the punchline to a joke.
Right. Which it makes sense. You can teach, AI can learn certain things, but not things based in facts. It would be hard to teach a computer a sense of humor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he started telling all the dirty jokes in the world that he knew. All the dead baby jokes that were super inappropriate.
Oh, yes.
and it fried the fucking computer, and apparently the gears slowed it down just before it ended up crashing against the mountain or whatever it was, and they were able to they still crash.
This thing travels faster than the speed of sound. Like it's not just 100 miles an hour or 200 miles an hour. This thing is moving faster than it's breaking the sound barrier.
Yeah.
In fact, at one point it drives by, it talks about, there's this mute deer, or this, they call it a mutie, like a deformed deer that's been living in this field for so long, and tells about it, how it lived there for so long, and tells a little backstory on it. Then the train goes by and it fucking falls over dead. It's moving that fast that just the percussion off the train drops it dead right in hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, so they were able to beat Blaine, get it stopped just in the nick of time.
Yeah, which is, what you want in a thrill by the seat of your pants story. But you said when we first started talking about this portion of the book, you said you didn't like it.
I liked it. It just, as of all the other parts of the book, it was kind of like the slowest, as far, because they're sitting in one place and they're having this battle of wills with this entity. It's not like, it was good in itself, but it wasn't the same action as you're used to with the rest of the series.
Yeah,
which is fine. It was good for a change of pace, but it was just kind of drawn out. And you mentioned the TikTok man. That was like another storyline of that series that kind of got lost on me. Like you thought, okay, so they defeat the TikTok man in Lud, right? I believe it
Yeah.
was Jake that shot him.
Yeah, I think so. Shot him in
And
the head, I think.
yeah, yes, pretty much left for dead. But somehow,
Yeah.
um, Martin is able to catch up to him, save him, and
Somehow, yeah.
he comes back after Roland
Yeah.
and the quartet. But when it finally meets back up with him, it's kind of anticlimactic. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
a build up to something you thought was going to be like this big showdown. It's like, oh, there he is again, pal. Screw that guy.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was like when they finally get to the Wizard of Oz tower,
That's where it was at. Yeah,
like he lets them in. Like his job was actually to like make sure they entered the door or some shit. But then after that, it was like it didn't matter. Like he served his purpose, and I didn't understand that either.
that makes sense though. That that's why Martin saved him, was just for, and because he's good at that. He's good at setting traps and bending people to his will.
Sure, yeah, and I don't know where Stephen King was really what he was reaching for at that point. I mean, I remember reading over it. I mean, I read the series twice, and I remember reading over it both times and just going, it felt like there was supposed to be more going on here, but I
Exactly. I
guess
got the same
Stephen
feel.
King just kind of scrapped it.
Yeah, I got the same feel out of that.
Yeah.
Like it was going to go a different direction. And he's just like, this is good enough. I'm going a different way.
Yeah, and maybe that's okay for the reader too. They call that subverting your expectations. So if you start to get an idea that you can guess what's going to happen with something, and then something out of the left field kind of ends up happening, and if it's good, it subverted your expectations in a good way.
Yeah, I always enjoy that. Like you was talking about earlier about the Game of Thrones series, and he was talking about how you find out Jon Snow is actually a Targaryen. I never saw that coming. Like I thought over all that, and I tried to figure all that stuff out as the story
Yeah.
went along, because I'm always one of those people that's trying to think ahead and figure out. I'm constantly doing that. Never
Good
see,
on you.
for some reason when that happened, I was like, why did I never see that? Like why did it? Like how did I never come up with that? Which I think I
Yeah.
did a little bit just before it comes out with it, but not all along. Like it's kind of obvious in a sense afterwards, after the thought.
Yeah, and that's good. So that is if it was, I don't remember because it's been a while since I watched the show. But if it seemed like it, oh, that made sense. Like if you go back and watch it again, you can see the subtle clues that were laid.
Mm-hmm.
That's all good writing. That's good foreshadowing, because good foreshadowing and doing things that make sense for the characters. It's like the foundation was laid before, but you don't know you're looking at the foundation. You only see the foundation later upon a second viewing. You know,
Yeah, and there's people that try to
that's
write that don't understand that part of writing. Like that's all those little subtle things like that, like your paradigm shifts, your character development, and those little twists or those hidden things that you find. That's all the things that make a good writer and a good story.
for sure.
And a lot of people that there's people that are published and stuff like that that just don't understand that concept of writing.
Yeah, and that means that they need to read more good books.
That's right. And broaden it. Like just don't read one genre of books. Read a lot of different ones.
For sure.
And Stephen King kind of started out, and he's one of my favorite writers, if not my favorite writer, and it's because, for one, his devotion to his avid readers. Like his constant readers that's who he writes for. He don't write for the publicists. He don't write for deadlines. He got to a point that everything he touches turns into a mini series or whatever. He knows, you know, anything he writes is going to be good enough. So
Mm.
he's writing for his fans. And that
Yeah.
whole series, I feel like, was for that. But if you go back and read In the Eye of the Dragon, which is his first fantasy story, and then when he actually introduced a character named Roland, I don't know if it's supposed to be the same Roland. I really don't think it is.
I don't think it is either,
But
because I think it's supposed. I think that story is supposed to take place like 500 years before.
I think so, but it's similar. Similar. There's a lot of similarities in those characters. But if you read it, it's kind of like
It's a good
almost
story.
geared towards more like a juvenile reader.
Well, yeah,
Or,
he wrote it for his daughter.
Yeah,
to read.
I can see that. Well, I don't know. I think maybe, but I know he wrote. I think he wrote that when he was his first year in college. He was young, and he wrote it as a short story for like a contest or something, like a writer's contest. He had submitted it to like one of those, almost like a Reader's Digest type thing.
Okay.
If I remember right, before it was ever published into a book.
Yeah, you might be right about that. For sure.
Yeah, seems like it. But he had left it alone for a long time, and he was always kind of into that fantasy, because I mean, if he was to classify him, most people classify him as a horror writer, which to me, a lot of his books aren't horror. It's just like the ugly side of humanity. Maybe it's just the stuff that makes you a little uncomfortable or a little, uneasy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can really read a horror book. Like, I don't understand horror anymore, for sure, because there's nothing that really scares me unless the topic is like a family member's got to move in because they're down on their luck.
Oh shit!
Or yeah, that fucking dude, that's scary. Or she says I'm late on my period.
Yeah.
Or somebody's like, hey, that new carpet that you just invested thousands of dollars in? I just dropped jelly all over it.
Yeah.
That's the shit that fucking scares me.
Your AC's out.
Yeah. Fuck. And it's the beginning of July.
Yeah.
Yeah. So horror. Anyway. Yeah. Stephen King. I agree. A lot of his shit is not. It's hard. People easily describe it because the easiest thing to describe it as is horror, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like everything is grounded in a reality that we can understand, but there's one aspect of it that's just twisted into something that's like a nightmare.
It's a little warped, yeah.
And it plays out like only this little microcosm of people and characters see this little glimpse of the secret,
So
whether it's like a portal or it's a monster or it's a whatever.
So I think he kind of touched like on the fantasy genre with that book, but his next books that he got big with were like thriller, suspense, horror, if you will, type books. So that's kind of like where he got placed into. So he definitely wrote a lot of books to that genre, but he's you hear him talk about it and write about it and stuff. He says he always had a love for that character and that storyline. He always knew he wanted to go somewhere deeper with it, but he always kind of left it on the back burner until he finally decided, I've got enough money, I've got enough time, I'm really going to get into this. And the way he weaved all his other stories in and out of it was just like brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of other authors or artists or anybody else that does that with their work.
I agree.
And that's really why he ended up being like, it's weird because I never really considered Stephen King to be my favorite author. I was more into fantasy, sci-fi, just different stuff. I mean, there's a time where I've just read Little House on the Prairie books. There's a time where I got into Forgotten Realms books and just different stuff, to different parts of my life. But when I look back on it, I always went back and read all these different Stephen King stories. He's probably the author I've read the most books from. And seeing a lot of his shows on TV, there's a lot of stuff that he had done that I didn't even know he was a part of. Even growing up as a kid, watching Creepshow, I had no idea that was Stephen King,
Yeah, for sure.
Different Stand By Me. You know, one of my favorite movies as a kid. Had no idea that was the Stephen King story.
Yeah. And another one was a Green Mile.
Green Mile, great book, great movie.
Yeah.
Not really, like, you could read that book and never really think that was Stephen King. You do see like little, like I said, those uncomfortable parts of humanity that that most people aren't comfortable delving into, you know, that's there, but really just a really good story.
Mm-hmm.
There was another show when I was a kid. I think it was called Cat's Eye.
Yes, I've been wanting to watch that again here recently. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Yeah, I haven't either. I haven't seen it in years and years, and it's like a lot of different stories weaved into one too, if I remember right.
I think it's only 3 stories.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's only 3 stories, and I think you can see it on Amazon Prime.
Well, yeah. If you're listening and you haven't seen it, definitely check that out. But as a
Yeah,
kid,
Cat's Eye.
yeah, it was a great show. As a kid, didn't realize
Yeah,
it was Stephen King. You know?
right. Yeah, the gremlin thing that comes out of the wall at the
Yes.
end, like the end story with the cat.
Yes.
Man, I wanted that little dagger that little fucker had so bad.
Me too. Me too. Well, so the reoccurring theme in all the stories is the cat, right? Like,
I guess so. I haven't seen it in so long. I just don't know. I just remember the last where that cat fucks that little gremlin all up.
fucks him up. Yeah, knocks him into the fan and just destroys him.
Yeah.
As a kid, that was the best part, you know, because who as a kid doesn't imagine like a little demon coming out of their fucking wall or something. But there was the other, I can't remember all of them. I know one of them was a guy decides he's going to quit smoking, and there's this company that's you're guaranteed to quit smoking or your money back. They're 100% you're going to quit smoking. And what happens is, like, they're watching you constantly. This guy gets stuck in traffic. He gets all stressed out and pissed off. He lights up a cigarette. Next thing you know, his wife's kidnapped. They cut off her pinky. You know,
oh yeah, I remember that.
they put her in a room where it's shocking her. The cat's in there. So the cat, his only relation to that story is whenever before they ever show that they have his wife kidnapped, they put her in this room where the floor shocks her. They put the cat in there, and it's like hopping off the ground, getting shocked.
Yep.
So I can't remember the third story, the first one.
Yeah, I don't know.
But needless to say, I'm pretty sure the guy quit smoking.
Yeah,
Oh,
eventually he did.
The other one has to do with a guy climbing out on the ledge of a building. I don't remember why. He gets locked out of his skyrise apartment or something, and he has to climb on this building to get to safety, and these birds keep pecking him.
Okay.
That's all I remember of it. But that's
yeah. I think I remember that too. It like happens at nighttime.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. But that's really why I had to sit back and look at it and realize, man, I really do love Stephen King. Like, I love his writing. Like, there's so many things that I enjoy that have come from him, even stuff that I didn't know about. That it's like one of those things I didn't realize that was my favorite author until I sit back and thought about it. I was like, wow, you know, there really isn't a lot of stuff that he's done that I just didn't care for. Some of his stuff, like if you read The Stand or some of it can be a bit lengthy. Like, I used to say he was bad about verbal orgasms. Like, he would get off on a tangent, just blah, 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 blah. He'd spit out so many words to describe the most simplest thing.
Or verbal diarrhea.
Verbal diarrhea. There you go. It's just like, let's see how many words I can put into this one sentence.
Yeah, or how about how long he can go on describing what seems like a meaningless.
His descriptions, yes, and it used to annoy me, especially get like in his unabridged versions of stuff, and you see, okay, well, now I see why their editing took out over 600 words of your original The Stand, you know, because it's really nothing adding to the story that they're taking away. But now that I'm older, like I enjoy that. Like, it lengthens it out and it makes the experience longer, and I enjoy all those descriptions. Like, it helps me to really visualize what it is.
Sure. Yeah. I haven't really ever had a complaint about that. Although my wife has specifically said that she can't stand the Stephen King the way he describes stuff, and she just can't get past it. And I respect that. No problem. No big deal.
Yeah, I enjoy it. Like to me, that's what sets him apart in a lot of ways. Is it's just like I sit back and listen to him, and I'm like, or read it, or whatever, and I'm like, the mind that can come up with that, they not just think of a plausible story, but put that much into it is almost unfathomable to me. It's like his mind's got to be going 24/7 all the time.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm sure it is. And I imagine a lot of it is like he's just buying groceries, or he's just, riding his bike to go get the mail or whatever, and he just has one little snippet, one little idea, and the one little idea is the warped thing. It is the twisted thing that is the supernatural portion, and he just builds a believable story with characters around that twist, around that warp. I think that's the way he creates his stories.
I think so too. I mean, yeah, I definitely think so too. I think he fills a lot of the other stuff in as he goes, or not as he goes per se.
I just got done reading his book called On Writing, where he describes kind of his methods. He doesn't really say like exactly how he does stuff, but and I couldn't even tell you what the fuck I got out of the book. But I mean, I read the whole thing, and it was kind of like, he was like, if you're wanting to get into writing, then you need to write a lot, and you need to read a lot, and you need to start throwing all your work at publishing companies, and don't stop throwing it at them until somebody accepts, and get an agent and all this other shit. But he gives a few examples in there in that book, kind of like what the pitfalls of a bad writer, and it was good.
I've seen that, and I thought about reading it a few times, but I just didn't know if it was like my thing, because I'm not big on like informational books. I can read like historic books, like books about old events.
The golden age of blowjobs.
Yes. The Cold War of blowjobs, all that. Anything with blowjob in the title, I'm reading. But but like do it yourself books, or just straight out informational nonfiction, like I have a hard time with it unless it's something I'm really, really interested in.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think I could probably read that one and be okay with it.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't recommend it.
No,
not generally. I wouldn't recommend it. There's plenty of his other fiction that's way better.
You didn't like read it and then shit out a book the next day, like ah.
No, but I am working on one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm working on.
Without ruin the surprise, what is your it's not a zombie book, is it? Please tell me it's not a fucking zombie book. It is, isn't it?
No, it's not. But the next one is.
Oh, all the same characters, but now they're undead.
All the same characters, but this time they're in the zombie apocalypse, and at this time it's going to be different,
but the same.
Yeah, but the same. But they call them shamblers in this story
because they shamble.
Yeah, fucking walkers. God damn, I'm fucking so sick of that shit.
You ever seen a zombie walk? They fucking shamble.
Yeah, it's clear. It's plain as day. Oh, look, my arm's bitten off. Oh, no, I'm just kidding, guys. I didn't get bit.
Yeah.
That's an original plot fucking thread.
Right.
Character hides bite. Brand new.
He's slowly getting sick. I think it's just the flu.
Yeah. Oh, man, it must have been that Chinese I ate before the apocalypse.
Okay, so the whole time this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial was going, I didn't know who this chick was until I realized that's the chick from Zombieland that got fucking bit. Partner, whatever it was. I was like, that's the only reference I have for that chick. He was like, oh no, man, Aquaman. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I had no idea. She was a nobody.
She still is, yeah.
She still is a nobody. So you're Team Depp the whole way?
No, fuck both those guys. Like, they're both Hollyweird, dude. They're both toxic, abusive. like, no, neither one of them are good people. People
I
are like,
think
oh, but Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp wouldn't do that. It's like, you don't know Johnny Depp. You know every character he's ever played. You don't know what that guy's like in real life. You don't know anything about him,
I agree.
And other people have come out and said that he was abusive too. It's not like just her.
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well,
but
I beg.
I mean, I didn't really follow the trial all that well, but
I didn't either.
But I did hear some of it, and some of it was just like the shit people were trying to defend Amber Heard on. It was just like the stuff I was being exposed to was like, how can you not see that she's just a lying psycho bitch?
I agree. I think she is. I think both of them. He's a clown.
Then,
at the very best, if everything is true and he's not a toxic piece of shit, which I think he is, he's a fool.
Yeah.
He's like one of those people that just, I'll just sit here drunk and high and ignore my toxic relationship with this sorry bitch. Like that's a fool.
Maybe
get up, get out of it, and don't let it go this far to where you're now exposed to the whole world, your whole personal business. But for him to say, "Oh, I was clean and sober for all these years until I got with her," like, well, how dare you let somebody affect your sobriety? When you let one of your best friends die at your nightclub, which I'm not saying it's his fault, but supposedly he quit doing drugs and heavy drinking after River Phoenix died at the Viper Lounge, which was his nightclub.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So supposedly that was his like changing event that he decided he was going to get clean and sober and get away from that whole scene. So you let a lesson like that slip past you, which, I mean, everybody's human. It could happen. But you let a woman who was never any good for you take you down that path, then you're a bit of a fool.
I agree. I agree with what you just said. I don't know much about all of it, but it seemed like it seemed like all of Johnny Depp's past sexual relationship people. It seemed like all of them were like, listen, me and Johnny's not together no more, but he never did weird shit like that. So, what's the chances that of all 10 women that he's publicly been with, and I can't name all their fucking names because I don't know, but
the problem
other than Winona Ryder,
higher in Hollywood than it is anywhere else, because these people got to worry about what is he going to say about me? What dirt of mine is he going to pull out? I don't want to get entrapped in this debacle with this person or these people over their dirty laundry and have my dirty laundry aired from stuff from 20 years ago. I could see that. Like, oh no, everything was fine. Like, what was it? Winona Ryder, Heidi Klum, or not Heidi Klum, but whoever the model chick he dated for Kate Moss. Yeah.
I don't know.
They don't want to get drugged through the mud and like rehash old shit just to fucking win a lawsuit for him. Like they got their own agents, their own image to protect, and that's where all that was just trying to protect my image. I'm going to be the less of the bad guy, and I'm going to look better. By this is said and done, this dumpster fire is over. I'm going to be the one to walk away from it. That's what that whole thing was.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but I think the second trial, the defamation trial, was more about Johnny Depp trying to expose how fucked up and how abusive she was to him.
Yeah, I think she's a little off. I think she was a little bit
more than a little off. Have you ever had an abusive female relationship?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So sometimes did you feel like you were powerless to do anything about it because she was a woman?
I felt powerless because she was a woman, but also entrapped by my own feelings.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I still care for this person. I still love this person. They're not always this way. They don't always feel that way. We got kids together.
Yeah. But then they would betray you by pulling tools out of their tool belt that you would never reach for.
Absolutely. And I do think that was part of their issue. I could see that. I just don't feel like he was all innocent in the whole thing either.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. There's a strong possibility that he wouldn't. But did you hear any of the audio recordings of her just going off on him?
Yeah, and she sounds like a boon. But I've also heard some audio recordings of him where he sounded like like an abusive drunk, you know. But I really feel like she was more of that type to like try to record you at your worst moments, you know. I feel like some of those recordings of him was her setting him up and feeding
Yeah,
into him to get him to react.
I think that's a lot of people saw that. I think a lot of regular human beings looking from the outside that were stable, individuals that are of sound mind looked at that and was like, I think the majority of people was like, obviously she is like
Toxic.
way, yeah. She was more of the problem in their relationship than he was. But hey, I don't fucking know. I'm not their friend. I don't give a fuck.
I don't either. Yeah, at the end of the day, my life is not affected, and I
Yeah,
don't understand the big whole Team Johnny or it's like I don't care. Like
I'm still team Taylor Lautner, man. Over here, Team Edward, Sparkly Vampire. You know what? Fucking let's go back to Stephen King.
absolutely,
Uh,
I'm done with that.
I recently read also his book called The Regulators. Have you read that one?
Man, a long time ago.
That was like the one where the kid is like conjuring up these toys that hurt people.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Vaguely.
Like there's a drive-by shooting and like some innocent people get shot to death. But it's the warped reality thing where like as it's being described, it doesn't add up to you. Like, and then it's revealed later that it's actually like figments of somebody's imagination that's spilling out into reality.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I do remember that, but it's been so long ago. That's one of those ones I need to go back and reread. I remember it being a decent book, but or was it a short story? Is it one of the ones that's in like is it a standalone novel or is it
It's a standalone novel. It's pretty big.
okay,
It was nice and thick,
thick and juicy?
real thick and juicy.
Yeah, yeah. I need to go back and reread that one. There's a few of them that like I get confused of like there's two that I always confuse like is it Rose Madder or Rose Red and
I haven't read either one of those.
one of those ties to Gerald's Game and I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah, Gerald's Game's fucking good.
That is good.
Dude, it's so fucking.
Um,
What was his name? Anton Joubert.
I do not remember that.
Yeah, the fucking thing. uh, yeah, the way he described it in that story, that bad person,
Yeah,
that was just like, oh man, it floored me. It was amazing.
yeah, that was another really good one. I didn't think there was another one. Oh, there's another one that was really good like that. Have you ever read? So I know we're talking about Stephen King, but have you ever read any Chuck Palahniuk books like not Fight Club, but Choke or?
No, I never read any of his other books. I read Fight Club.
Oh, you need to check out Choke. It's kind of to me is
How do you say his name?
I say Palahniuk. I don't know how it's really said.
I thought it was pronounced Chuck.
Yeah, Hawkaloo. Yeah, he's a good writer too, but
Yeah, his style of writing is fucking fantastic.
yeah, it's very mind working. Choke's one of those good books like that. It's kind of Stephen Kingish. Like it's
Who?
Choke on Choke.
Oh yeah,
Which there's a
you're
movie.
fading out on me.
There's a movie on it, but I've never watched it.
Choke?
Choke. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't
I'll
want
take
to
a
tell you the whole
I'll take a
story.
gander.
Yeah, because I want you to check.
No, because I'll get around to it for sure. Did you ever read the short story Stephen King called The Jaunt?
I have not.
It's in one of his compilation books. I forget which one. Um,
Jaunt.
yeah, The Jaunt. It's about teleportation.
I've not.
It was a good one. It's fairly short. I'm not gonna spoil it for you if you ever get around to it, but it was pretty cool. I liked it.
Yeah, check it out. Some of his short stories, I think, are some of his greatest ones. Like,
Yeah, because it more quickly gets to the point. Like
it does, but it's like you could actually write a whole book off his short stories. A lot of his short stories should easily be a novel or a novella, at the least. Like a short novel.
for sure.
But you can tell he just really simplified them, got to the point. Like, what was that one, like Sundog or something like that, where
Yeah,
boy goes to that
yeah.
old thrift store, finds the photo
Or the camera.
of the camera that has this photo. It's got the dog in it. Yeah,
Yeah, I've been thinking about that story here lately too, because I read it and I just didn't understand what the fuck I was reading. Like I didn't understand what the scene, like what the device was. I didn't get it. But it's like the dog gets closer and closer to the lens until eventually it's a real threat.
yeah. So it's like in his style of writing. So
Yeah,
the guy he buys the the camera from, that owns the little thrift shop or whatever, is Ace Merrill's uncle. So Ace Merrill, of course, is the antagonist in The Body, or Stand By Me. He's the bad.
yeah. I haven't read that. Yeah.
But you've watched the movie Stand By Me. He's
Yes.
Kiefer Sutherland's character, the hood that's just pure evil.
Yeah.
The Merrills are kind of a family that's been mentioned in several different stories. Any of the ones about Castle Rock, uh, you see a lot of them in it. But the dog is also kind of like a reference to Cujo
Yeah.
in itself. Not that the dog is Cujo, but it's just a reference
It's like
to
yeah,
him.
yeah. It's kind of like this is another alternate reality, sort of. This is what the dog could have been, or this is another take, another spin on that concept.
Right. Yeah, you can tell like he had thrown around a lot of ideas in his head, and that's just two of them that came out. So I got my Dark Tower leg sleeve done.
Yeah, you need to send me some photos.
I will. I will definitely send you. I got all the way up to my knee, from my top of my foot all the way up to my knee is all Dark Tower on my right leg. But on my
Hell yeah.
leg, I'm wanting to do like a horror sleeve of just Stephen King stuff.
Okay.
Like I want to get like a Cujo, a Christine the car. I want to get like the Shining Twins, the Pennywise, like all these just other
Cool.
different characters
Hell yeah.
done.
Yeah, man, you should send me some pictures. Make sure you get a scrotum shot as well and send that to
Yeah,
me.
I knew I should send you my new tattoo because it's pretty close. It's definitely
Yeah, I wouldn't.
upper thigh area.
Are you circumcised or
No, I'm not Jewish at all.
even better?
Non-kosher penis over here.
Just the tip.
No tip.
Well, I mean,
Where is the tip?
where is the tip?
Keep pulling.
Uh, you almost made me spit out my drink.
A lot of editing going on.
Yeah,
So
man.
my new tattoo, man, I need to send you a picture of it. I'm pretty stoked about it. Like, so my brother died. I think this is coming up on second year. And growing up, he was, my I have a lot of brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of a big ass family.
Okay.
And he's quite a bit older than me. So all growing up, he had this tattoo. He would do tattoos. This is back when tattooing was legal here. He was doing a lot of
Yeah.
tattoos in his house from machines he made.
Sure.
But he had
Making a living.
this big, like, I don't know if you'd call it a skull or a zombie skull,
Mm-hmm.
or what you'd call it. Like, I'll let you decide when you see it. But he had this skull on his upper thigh, and he ended up putting it on you know, several of my brothers, nephews, a lot of close friends, his son-in-law, a bunch of us have it, but I never got it because at the time I was like, I don't know if it's really like my thing, you know, I'm not really that into that, you know?
Yeah.
And they're all a little different. Like everybody's a little different. Like my brother Travis's has horns. Uh, they're all the same tattoo, but just a little different, you know, and unique to each person. Well, by the time I wanted to get it, he had like gotten like, I don't know if it's neuropathy or what it was, but he got to where his hands would go numb and shit. So he would never do it. Like he's like, I don't think I can do it anymore, you know, like, so I never got it. Well, he died. So this, my,
Sorry to hear that.
it's cool. It happens. But my tattoo artist, you know, that's one that's done a lot of my tattoos. I decided I was going to have her do it. So I got some of his ashes and she put it in the ink, tattooed it on there. So I got that skull, and mine's absolutely the fucking best out of everybody's. Like mine's legit. And then I
Hell
got
yeah.
next to it, I got a cotton blossom because that's what we called him as a kid because he had thick white cottony hair. We called him Cotton. So I kind of got like a little tribute tattoo.
Hell yeah.
Made
Cool,
out of his
man.
ashes.
That's pretty fucking brilliant.
Well, dude, and it turned out better than I thought. Like it looks like a sticker.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that picture. You sent it to me. Yeah, it's pretty rad, man.
Oh, I did send it to you?
Yeah, you sent that one to me, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's green and
Yes. Bright green.
the blossom is on the same side of the tattoo as the mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought about having her put it in the mouth, but then I didn't want to change up like his design too much. So I just had it put beside it.
That makes sense.
And so I got like the absolute original. I actually got his stencil and everything. I got his son, my nephew had one of his old books, like, and he was a badass artist. He had all kinds of stuff he drew, but all his art is just gone. Like a lot of it was downloaded onto computers and, you know, old books that just disappeared over the years. But I got like some of his original stencils and uh, was able to get the actual stencil. So it's an absolute duplicate of the one he put on himself 35 years ago.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, probably my favorite piece.
That's fucking heavy, dude. Put somebody's ashes in your tattoo. It's pretty fucking heavy, man.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "You sure you want to do that?" I'm like, "That's got to be sterile, right?" Like, I mean, it's ashes.
It's been toasted, right?
Yeah, it's hotter than that autoclave machine you're using.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying when I said, man, I'm sorry to hear that your brother died, I thought for sure you were gonna say, it's all right, bro, I killed him.
A little slowly, like over the years, slowly poisoned it until, yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
mercury actually.
Yeah. He never knew what hit him.
So probably gonna have to get this leg cut off. And
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't think that far ahead.
yeah, this tattoo's not sitting too well.
It's actually been festering up quite a bit. Yikes.
Yeah, no, he had COPD real bad and asthma, and of course he was a heavy smoker of meth, and
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
not when he died, but over the years, you know, he had a heavy addiction, and then smoking cigarettes for years, and he just kept getting worse and worse every year. Like he'd get pneumonia, and like every year,
It just fuck him up real bad.
yeah, get worse and worse, and finally just like had a bad asthma attack, and they called the ambulance. But by the time the ambulance got there, he had a massive heart attack and killed him.
Damn it, man.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So yeah.
You know what's funny is I've got bad asthma, and I've been dealing with asthma for a long time. And smoking meth or doing some sort of meth, it's actually a bronchodilator. It actually
That's what he would
makes it
say too.
easier.
It's a, you know,
Yeah.
it's like an antihistamine, or a
Like it helps you breathe
helps you
easier.
breathe while you're doing it. But the
Yeah,
problem
I don't.
is, you stay
Yeah,
up and you smoke 6 packs of cigarettes, and you know
it does a bunch of other bad things to your health for sure.
well, I haven't been in any clinical studies on it, so
Yeah, and I don't know about not from personal. I don't know. No, it's a bronchodilator from personal meth smoking use or nothing. I don't want anybody to get that. Can we move
well,
on
yeah,
from the subject?
sure, sure.
But no, I just think that I think it was worth mentioning because I, discovered that in my youth, and it was like, damn,
I can breathe.
that would that would be handy. Yeah, that would be handy if the doctors, would give us asthma sufferers something that would help us breathe like this. Jesus.
Just a big blast of meth. Could you imagine going to the doctor and being like,
Hook you up, put the face mask over your nose and your mouth,
look,
and
I don't
then
want to tell
just
you how to do your job, but I read on Google.
yeah. Oh, I thought you were gonna say like they would have like a hobo come in and just blow into the tube a big old hit a crack
Give you a big
meth
shotgun
up.
out of a light bulb.
Yeah, or off a tin foil. I don't know how they do it.
Oh man,
Freebasing it.
like, you sure this don't seem real scientific?
Hey, dude, you need to throw some rice in that light bulb to knock the phosphorus dust off the inside first. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, but
A little salt goes a long way.
yeah, a little salt. These are jokes, people.
Yeah, unless you're gonna do it.
Yeah. Oh shit. Well, hey, do you remember that one time? Do you remember that one time that Raphael dropped that ball across the fucking floor?
Dude, I do. That was
That
crazy.
was so fucking funny.
How do you think one of those balls were? Because that was a 12 inch.
It was like I think it was a 10-inch 150, or maybe it was a 12-inch 150 or something like that.
Yeah, what do you think one of those weighs?
Dude, I don't know. I would say
Several hundred pounds.
conservatively, yeah, probably like between 200 and 400 pounds.
That's what I would say, somewhere around 3 or more. Yeah, I would think. Solid steel ball with a 10-inch hole in it. Like, pretty good size.
Pretty fucking good sized ball.
You know, I ran into him like maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Rafael and Aurelio, and they live in Mexico. They both decided they're getting out of America. They moved to Zacatecas.
Zacatecas?
Zacatecas. And he absolutely blew my mind. He's like, yeah, my daughter's in college. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, damn.
Like, his daughter was 6 years old last time I seen him.
Yeah.
I was just like, no
Shit.
way.
Yeah, god
But he's
damn.
telling me, like, yeah, man, it's like, everything's going great. Like, he's like, everything's way cheaper down there. You know, I just come here every now and then because he's still got his rent houses and stuff up here. Uh, he's still got houses in Texas. I was like, you still got your old Impala? You got your old cars? He's like, no, because that was the one thing, was like taking a vehicle from here to there. Super expensive for like the fees and taxes and tags, even for a car that's built in the '60s. So he's like, no, I sold them all. I just brung two, because that's all I could afford to do, and still pay the fees and stuff on it. He's like, but I pay like $15 a month for my whole family to have cell phones, and gas is cheap. We got baby formula.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, cool, dude. Like, I don't blame him.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's got good things going on. I mean, it helps when you speak Spanish.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and Aurelio looked absolutely the same, dude. He don't look like he's aged a day since then. Like, for real.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like an older man, but,
20 years ago.
A healthy looking older man, but he looks exactly the same. I was like, wow.
Lunch time, my man.
Lunch already. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful, my man.
That's just like him. You remember Jose, Raphael's uncle, Jose, that worked there?
Uh,
Crazy motherfucker.
oh yeah, yeah. He got into that car accident that fucked his head up, and he
Yeah,
never was the same
never
since.
was.
He
He was a
like,
wacko.
yeah, he was like shitty to people and thought he was really tough, but he didn't like fight anybody. He was just an
He would just
asshole.
talk shit, yeah.
He would just
Or
talk
he
shit.
would do
He was,
shit just to aggravate people. Like he would steal your valves and stuff. Like you would build a valve and he'd go claim it on the computer, or he would
yeah.
just crazy stuff. Move your tools around,
Or walk through your area, spitting sunflower seeds on your floor.
right? Or we called him Poopy too because he pooped his pants and had to go home.
Yeah.
We
Oh, I
called him
fucking forgot.
Cinder
Poopy.
Poopy. I remember one day he did that on purpose, dude. I remember one day he whacked himself in the hand with a hammer to
So
go
he could
home.
go home.
Yes, a ball ping, just whack.
What a
Dude, you
fucking
are
nutcase.
nuts. Just go in and tell them you're going home. What? I mean, they can't say a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you got vacation time, shit.
It's like, I'm trying to get a bonus for safety, guy.
Yeah,
Trying to get
like it
popcorn
is.
and Coke.
I'm yeah, it's fountain drinks, man. Come on,
Come on, dude. You're messing it up for everybody.
you're fucking it up for everyone.
So is working up there, is it still the same since like this other entity bought them? Like, do y'all still get like that was one cool thing about working there was like their their
Fringe benefits.
yeah, all the extra stuff they did. Like their
Yeah, so for sure, man. Let me tell you about it. I feel like maybe there's a little bit more going on nowadays because the big company and maybe even the little company, um, they don't maybe give out raises nearly as much as they probably should have over the years.
right.
I think they've been doing a little bit better now, but it's like even still, it's like with inflation, it's like it's way too late, and anyway. Um, they've got an ice cream machine up there now.
I saw that.
So yeah, so did you see that in a picture or something?
Yeah. So from Main
Yeah,
Post.
yeah. So they've got an ice cream machine. I guess it's like frozen yogurt. I mean, I don't know the difference between ice cream and froyo, whatever. But they do that once a month, probably something like that. Maybe once every 2 months. They still have the popcorn machine that they bust out every month. The soda pop dispenser. They've got an espresso machine in there that grinds beans like it's all fresh ground beans and
Ooh.
pumps out some
Better
good coffee,
better than the old
cappuccino.
coffee machine we had.
I would say yeah, a whole lot better for sure. It's like touchscreen and clean. Like they have to open it up and maintenance it like twice a day because it gets used so much. They clean the lines out. Like the maintenance guys, you see them cleaning the lines out, so you know everything's like nice and clean on the inside. And the coffee's real strong and real good. It's free all day long too.
Hell yeah.
Um, let's see.
That's a benefit for them, really. It's like get these motherfuckers job it up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it was probably a tactical decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think.
I like how you said the little company, like it wasn't a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, yeah. They well, see, there's the big company, and when anything goes wrong, it's the big company's fault, you know, because we haven't really aligned all of our whatever yet, and it's been like fucking 9 years or some bullshit.
I was gonna say,
Uh, yeah, but you know, every time it's like, well, we hands are tied, you know, it's the big company. But anytime they do anything good, it's the local company that push to make those things happen.
oh yeah,
And that's fine because most of the people up there that really care about trying to make that stuff happen, most of those people are people that work in the plant that have power to make change. It's not, I don't believe it's because of some engagement incentive that super corporate is pushing on down the pike. You know what I mean?
right. And that's what I liked about the place. I don't do like great in corporate environments, obviously, but uh, I really like the people that was involved there. Now a lot of them's gone now,
Yeah.
but that's all always kept me at that place was just the people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I genuinely believe that a lot of the people that have the power to influence the daily worker's life, I do believe that they try to do what they can to make it a little bit better and a little bit cooler.
yeah, uh, the HR kind of changed over the years. But the original HR lady, I can't remember her name now, but she
I'm
was
not going
great.
to say it either.
Carla.
Yeah.
A lot of people said she was kind of a hard ass and this and that, but she was actually a really great lady.
Yeah.
She would put her neck out for you. Same with people like Greg Hall. Greg Hall was an awesome dude. Like,
For sure.
so who's doing y'all's health and safety and stuff, environmental, now that he's gone?
There's a newer guy that came from another facility by the name of EC, and he's a pretty cool dude. Tries to keep it as casual as he can. He tries to speak the language of the people on the floor to try to
So
help get the.
is he as personable
Hmm?
as Greg Hall was?
I think he makes he's very good in his own way for sure.
Awesome.
And then there's another guy that's above him that's kind of like the manager or whatever, and
Yeah,
you know,
the more
so
by the book guy.
yeah, maybe I think maybe a little bit more administrative.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good balance.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Well, let's you want to get back on the books here, or what are
Uh, what am I thinking? I'm thinking maybe I don't know, man. Maybe let's wrap it up with some final thoughts probably, and just kind of close her on down. Some final thoughts about maybe some Stephen King shit.
Hmm. All right. Well,
All right.
something I wanted to ask anyway.
Okay. Do that.
What, from your perspective, first off, what was your favorite character of that series? Who is your most relatable character that you enjoyed?
Well, I think Roland was the main character,
Obviously, yeah.
and it seemed to be like you were following him on the journey. I kind of think I like him. I mean, I like his story, and I like his attitude, and I like the way Stephen King worked his character, and I liked it a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you?
Definitely Roland, and also Eddie Dean. Like, Eddie Dean being like a more modern American, uh, I feel like those two contrast each other the best. Roland is don't have a sense of humor, straightforward, all about business.
Yeah,
And in a lot of sense, he didn't have a lot of emotion at times, uh, because of Susan Delgado and all the stuff that his mother,
yeah,
everything that happened. Uh, but he kind of becomes more human as it goes along, and Eddie Dean was
yeah,
that, but mostly Jake. Like, Jake's the one that really brings out in him. Like, if you look back at the way he meets Odetta and the way he meets Eddie Dean, he forces them to come. First off, he's using them to a means. His whole goal is to get to the tower, right?
for sure,
And he's going
and
to
he
use them
knows.
because that's what Cause demanding, and that's what he's going to do. And they want to kill him. They absolutely hate him. Eddie Dean's going through a heroin withdrawal. He just wants to
Yeah,
die, wants to
and
kill, get
he
back
wants
to
to go back.
yeah, get back to his fix. Uh, Odetta's just straight up crazy, and she wants to kill every white honk motherfucker,
Yeah,
mofo.
mofo, you muffa.
Yeah. But Jake, when he meets Jake, he's attracted to him in a way that, like, probably he wasn't even expecting. He doesn't know that he's part of his quartet or anything like that. He's just a boy that randomly shows up there in the
Yeah,
wastelands at the way station. Uh, and I think to me, he kind of was bonded to him in a way that maybe he reminded Roland of a childhood he never got to have or something, like the innocence,
yeah,
because being a gunslinger as a child, he didn't get to have that type of
right,
innocence,
yeah, R- for
So
sure, yeah.
he's bonded to him all the way up to the point that he has to sacrifice him.
Yeah, yeah. So ultimately, he does make the decision to let him go, so that way he can, because the boy Jake was slowing him down, and it looked like the choice was was going to be you either go left at the fork or right at the fork.
You abandon your ambitions for the tower, or you save the boy. And he felt like his fate was to reach the tower, to fix what was going wrong with the world.
The entire world, yeah, which he didn't even know at the time that it was even further than just the world.
Just his world, right.
It was his world, but it was also
other worlds.
The whole universe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the greater good, he sacrificed something he cared about. But to Jake, it kind of seemed like he just cared more for something else, you know?
Yeah, from Jake's point of view, obviously, it was like the guy Roland the gunslinger will absolutely sacrifice everybody that's with him for him to and they all see that eventually. They all understand that that's a truth, but it is Jake that
as it goes on, they become just as obsessed with reaching the tower as him. You know, they realize
they believe in it, kind of like followers of a religion.
Yes. So, with that being said,
but I wanted to say it was Jake that told him, "Go then, gunslinger. There are other worlds than these."
That's right.
Yeah, it was Jake that told him, said that, and in the book, Roland lets him go, and he falls into the darkness off of the whatever they were on. They were like not a cliff face, but it was like it was a precipice, and he lets him go, and Jake doesn't make a sound, and he falls like a specter on the wind into the darkness and disappears.
Yeah. No absolute death per se.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean he was a ghost anyway at that time. It was clear in the book that he wasn't a real boy.
Huh. But
he was dead already.
When Jake goes back, he knows he's living a rifted life. He knows that he's existed in two different places and he's died, and because he died from the pusher, that's how he showed up there. And he's the only one that that's how he reached Midworld, was through death. You could speculate that maybe Eddie Dean died in the shootout, or maybe Eddie Dean died of a heroin overdose, like his brother. But you know that Roland pulled him through the door. He was one of the three that was drawn.
Just like they pulled the boy Jake through the house.
Yeah. But he wasn't one of the ones that came through the drawing of the three through the doors. Morton was the other one, which was the pusher, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And that's a very complicated a set of ideas that I never get to talk to with anybody about. It's like, when Stephen King when he was writing it, did he intend for the character that somehow conjured up the doors on the shore? Did that character for Roland intend for the pusher to be part of his three? And then Roland rejected it, huh?
I wanted that too, but yeah, I think so, because, not to spoil the whole story, but for him to be drawn through that house, set up another storyline of between him and Odetta and the demon in the circle.
Yes.
So that had to happen.
Mordred,
yes.
Yeah, it didn't have to happen because Stephen King could have wrote something completely different.
Right, but for that storyline to happen, Jake had to be drawn that way. Like, they had to both enter that circle at different times and submit their bodies to this demon.
Yes.
Which is another very complicated idea of how all that happened. Because
especially how it's like 3 or 4 books apart.
Yeah. And, Odetta's impregnated with this demon, but then it turns out to be not just Odetta and this demon, but Roland as well. Like, it's complicated.
Yeah, and the thing that is its mother isn't either Detta or Odetta.
No,
but some honky white bitch that's got legs.
Well, and she come from Detta's mind. right?
Is that what it was? I don't remember.
Yeah,
It actually gets a little
so
muddy.
Odetta would go into these sleep trances, and she would go and eat frogs and filth and
Yeah, I remember that.
ate
Yeah,
stuff out of the swamps and stuff like that. But in her mind, she was this other
she was.
woman that was having this big feast in this castle.
Yeah, just feeding the baby.
Yes, and in her mind, in these dreams, she was having this big feast, and she was this other woman, and that woman is who became its mother, like in a sense. Like that's, I guess it was Martin that drew her out into existence or something.
I don't remember exactly.
Something of that nature. So what was your, when you got to the very end of that series, how did you feel about that?
Oh, that's a big question. How did I feel about it? I felt hurt, betrayed, disappointed, stabbed in the back, fucked in the ass,
I felt all that.
cursed, spit on.
Yeah,
Huh?
I felt all that, and then absolute acceptance at the same time. Like, what other way could
Yeah.
it? You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like now that that was never the way I would have thought that it would be ended, but now that I see it, it's like, what other way could it have ended?
Yeah, so we've talked about this before, and you may not remember, but I do I do have a thought, and I like the way that it did end, and how Ka is a wheel, and I do like that whole concept,
Yeah,
and it makes you wonder, kind of maybe how many times, you know what I mean?
exactly. How many other
And
characters?
yeah, and how many, and maybe one time the pusher was one of the groupings, and how did that go? You know,
Right.
but specifically, how would you have rather? Because I mean, I don't care. No one's going to listen to this and be like, no one's going to. I've got like 50 people listen to my podcast, so we can say at the end, Roland gets to the tower, and we can spoil it.
Climbs the
Um,
tower, sees his
yeah,
whole life flashed from each room, each floor, all of the different people that had their fates were
he coming
intertwined
down.
with his,
Yeah,
and had made his journey to the tower possible. Gets to the top floor, wakes up right at the beginning again.
he wakes up at the beginning of the series, with the first book in the series called Gunslinger, where he's traveling west-ish across the desert,
Following the
and
man in
he's
black.
following the man in black. But this time he's got the Horn of Eld, which is apparently a powerful artifact that's completely necessary.
What is it? I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how it's going to help. But I mean, he was supposed to blow the horn when he got to the doors of the tower.
To open it, yeah.
Yeah,
To me,
but
it's like
But
Roland.
he was a coward. He was a coward when he lost it, because he could have reached out and grabbed it. But if he would have reached out and grabbed it, and at the Battle of Jericho Hill, he possibly would have been exposed as being still alive in the pile of bodies. So he wanted to save his life. He was kind of a coward in that moment.
That's true.
Yeah. So in the new beginning, he apparently took that risk, and he lived through it, and he carries the Horn of Eld with him on the new repeat of the Dark Tower trek.
This is where I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it. So it's like, so if you say, how many times has he done that? How many times is he going to continue to? Is he on
He's
endless
he's
loop
he's
of,
in purgatory.
right? At what point did he get there? Because he has a past. It goes back and tells about, uh, you know, all his friends, Cuthbert and
Alan,
Susan Delgado, and what's the other
Alan,
friend? Huh?
Elaine or Alan.
Alan, yeah. Elaine, yeah, however you say it. Even mentions Jamie. Was it Jamie Redhand or?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think Jamie died at the um shit. Was it four of them that were kids during was it the blast, or
It
was it
just
just three?
casually mentions Jamie. He don't
I
really
think he
hear.
does.
He never really
Yeah,
goes into detail to him until you get to the Skin Man and
yeah.
that went through the keyhole.
I
But
need to reread that one.
it does. I do remember when he started talking about him in that book that it had mentioned him before, but I don't. He wasn't part of the three that went to that town.
Yeah, I don't even fucking remember now.
But um, I just wonder what happened. What was the trigger that got him trapped in that will? Like, was it his mother's death? Was it the fall of Gilead?
Yeah, I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it, about where it exactly starts. I mean, maybe it starts back over at the beginning of time.
Yeah, I don't know,
And
because
everything has to happen all over again.
yeah,
And the only
well, it's
thing
like
different is what
he
he and
wakes up in the desert, in the salt plains, chasing the man in black, but he has a past before that. And he has
yeah, he does have
memories.
no, yeah, for sure. But can you imagine that Stephen King's story doesn't begin at the beginning of Roland's life when he's writing the story and he presents to us.
Right.
So
Yeah.
right. So maybe when it reveals to us back to the beginning of this story that he's traveling across the desert, chasing the man in black, it's not implying that that's exactly where it starts up for any significant reason. That's just where Stephen King decided to present us with the idea that there is a repetition here. But the actual repetition may be the beginning of the Big Bang, or it may be, you know, when the moon coalesced after colliding with the Earth that created our celestial body that is our natural satellite.
Right.
Or you know what I mean?
So maybe
Like
that
the
point in
cycle,
time isn't significant, just the idea.
the just conveying the idea to us, the audience, that there is a repetition, that he is in a purgatory, and maybe everything happens exactly the way it happens, like time, the story of the Earth and everybody that does everything. It's all exactly the same, and only Roland himself is the only one that can influence any change in the story that happens at the end,
Yeah.
because he arrives at the Dark Tower, right?
Right. And I always kind of
Because he's
sensed
the
that like it was really him and Martin, or whatever you want to call him. He has several names, but it was
yeah
him and Martin that really bring a balance to everything. Like Roland's everything that's good, Martin's everything that's bad, but their conflict with each other is what's keeping everything in balance. Now the Crimson King in the tower, whatever, is what's throwing everything out of balance. But that struggle between Martin and Roland is kind of what's keeping everything balanced, in a sense.
yeah
And that's why it starts out with he's back chasing Martin again. Even though Martin really, like, if you think about it, he's antagonist through many of Stephen King's stories. He's not really the main antagonist.
no
Like, he is, but he's not, you know?
he's like the agent that enacts.
Right.
He's like the Darth Maul.
He's the force that pushes things. Uh,
Yes, he moves things along physically.
he was more significant than the Crimson King, you know,
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
for sure. The Crimson King is the one that has the power to influence a bunch of different shit, but he's trapped.
Yeah, he's a prisoner himself to the tower.
Yes.
It's kind of in the same way Roland is.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so it
Oh,
was always his conflict with Martin was always the more entertaining part of it. Like all the traps he said, like what is it, Magus he comes to, or whatever the town is, where he gets there, and as soon as he says a certain word, the whole town starts coming towards him like mindless zombies. Like everybody in the town is just trying to kill him all of a sudden.
yeah. Intel.
Once he mentions Martin, since
Yeah.
he mentions him, it's like he had set that trap to where once that word is spoken, they're all going
hmm
to kill him.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. That was a cool actiony part of the first book for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really kind of what got me to continue on in the series. And then when it gets to like their big palaver at the end, you're like, okay, this is really getting good. Then you get to the next book and you wake up and now you got a deformed gunslinger,
Yeah. Yeah.
the dud at chucks and
Data chum,
at
data chalk,
yeah, the lobstrosities. And I was just like, how
lobstrosities.
the fuck are they going to do that to the main character?
I mean, you gotta have a character struggle. So if they're strong, you want to see them a character
Exactly.
strong and flex that muscle, but then you want to handicap them in such a way where they have to develop a new skill.
Exactly. And his real skill was leadership. I mean, he's still a formidable gunslinger in his own right. Even with one hand, he's got the upper hand on most.
For
But
sure.
really, it was his leadership and his wisdom that became his main tool from that point on.
Yeah.
Even though he
Yeah,
was a great leader at first.
yeah. Yeah, man. It was amazing that how Stephen King describes his prowess with those weapons and like how he just can't be matched. If you were in a gunfight, there wouldn't be a gunfight, it'd be a slaughter.
Exactly.
If you were in a gunfight with him, there would be no chance. It didn't matter how good you thought you were.
Yeah.
It was over before it began.
You could try to run him down with a car or whatever, or you could have a automatic weapon. He's gonna win that.
Yeah, he's gonna win that. Yeah.
And even the way he retrained himself to even be able to reload his revolvers and stuff with only 3 fingers on one hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was it his offhand or was it his main hand?
It was his right hand that got cut. It was his, but I mean, lucky for him, he jerks off left-handed.
Well, and 3 fingers. I mean, I do that sometimes just to
Change it up a little bit. But I mean,
yeah.
I think that was interesting that Stephen King was willing to write in, and he's done this before, but willing to write in an obvious, less than flattering admittance, because he says the gunslinger, he admits to the audience that the gunslinger jerks his dick off.
Does he?
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, so the gunslinger is like suffering with his 2 fingers gone from his right hand, his main hand. It's not just his shooting hand, I mean, he's got 2 hands. He's pretty proficient with both. But he did say he did say the gunslinger thinks to himself, well, at least there's a good thing here, and that is that I jerk off with my left hand. Yeah.
Funny the things that stick in your mind and the stuff that I absorb.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, but what I'm saying is the humility that's allowed.
Right. You definitely, it definitely makes him human. You do see that he's human, not just this formidable.
Not just this unfallible or non-blemished. Because I mean, he's fouled in a bunch of ways because he sacrificed a lot of his buddies. But it's like that's a pretty wild way to point out a character flaw, or you know what I mean? Like you don't think so highly about a person after they've admitted, point blank, in the court of law, beneath the eyes of God, that they jerk their dick off 2 times a day or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that makes you look at the character a little differently.
Yeah, it's like those darker sides of humanity nobody wants to fucking talk about or are uneasy with. That's where he dwells.
Yeah, man, I like it.
I do too. Jerking
so
on
you
times a day.
So you asked me what I thought about the ending and how I thought the ending should have went.
Yes.
Okay, so I when I read the ending, my first thought was I would have done it differently, and I told you this before because I remember this being my answer when we talked about it once before.
Yeah, I remember us talking about it.
Yeah, so what I think should have happened, we've mentioned The Wizard in Glass several times now because that book is so fucking awesome. Some people hate it, dude, but it's so good.
It's good.
To me, what should have happened was he got to the top of the tower and somehow discovered that it wasn't right, that he didn't do it right, or something was missing, and for him to actually complete it, there was yet another piece to the puzzle. And just like the book ends and it shows you that Ka is a wheel and he's bound to repeat like in purgatory until maybe he gets it right and he can get out of purgatory, or maybe he saves the universe or whatever. And maybe it takes him 1,000,000 tries. For me, it would have been instead, it zooms him straight back to when he was 14 and he was looking in the pink 13.
The grapefruit.
The grapefruit. So to me, it made more sense for that moment to be like, it'd be like he wakes up from looking in the grapefruit at the end of Wizard and Glass,
And it wasn't
and he
like any of that
says,
really actually happened. He just went toe dash or something.
he just like he saw that was a possible future that could happen, and I have the opportunity to change it if I can just fucking remember everything that I just witnessed in this fever dream looking into the Pink 13.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because then it would give the writer and the audience some sort of, you could toy with the idea that maybe this time Roland didn't remember an aspect of what he saw in there and he gets it wrong. And that's the reason why he's got to repeat it. And every time he's got to repeat it, he goes back to when he looks back. Instead of being in the desert and following the man in black, he's just back at the Pink 13. And maybe there's still time to save Susan Delgado before the Charyu tree.
There you go.
Or maybe he can save his friends at Jericho Hill this time. If he can just remember everything that he saw, because if he lived a whole lifetime, 40 years, and if he could just remember that whole fucking 40 years,
And every
for
detail.
the next 40 years, and every detail for the next 40 years, maybe that also explains why he's so fucking good at everything he does.
And also why he has to keep repeating it, because he can't get every detail.
Because he can't, because he struggles. I mean, like, it's like when you wake up from a dream and you can remember it, but then it just fades and it's gone.
So, and in a way, yeah, I could see that. And in a way, like even so, Cuthbert, how would you say that? I always say
I don't know.
Cuthbert, but I don't think that's right.
I'll say that again because I talked over you.
I say Cuthbert in my head, but I think it's Cuthbert.
I say Cuthbert, man.
Cuthbert.
I think it's Cuthbert.
So I see a lot of similarities in him and Eddie Dean. Like maybe Eddie Dean is almost like a reincarnation of him. And
I think he even says, I think Roland even says that out loud several times.
I know he does say that he reminds him of him and stuff like that. But Elaine he had a bit of foresight. Like he could
shine.
Yeah, exactly. And Jake kind of shows parts.
He could shine.
He could do that. And then you got Odetta. I don't know who she's supposed to be, but maybe Susan. Like, didn't she go by the name Susan?
Yes.
Afterwards?
Yeah, Susanna.
Yeah.
Parked her rig in the Dixie Pig in 1999.
So yeah, maybe all these people are tied to him. So like when he gets to the end, Roland goes back, but Jake, Susanna, and Eddie get to go on and live a life together, and they kind of have like a happily ever after. That's the one redeeming part of the ending. That's like, okay, well, if you need more, here you go. How about this? These people.
That's interesting. But in the story that we do get, they're all dead by that point.
Who? Who's all dead? Eddie and Susanna and
Jake.
Well, yes, yeah. They all die.
Yeah.
But they go back to their world and have so like if he just ended right there and didn't go on, that's how it ended. Roland's stuck in this purgatory. Eddie's dead. Susanna's dead. Jake's dead. And that'd been it.
But the purgatory is basically time rolls back for everybody. So he's got to re-interact with everybody, right?
So you think in your mind, if he goes on this quest again, will Eddie, Susanna, and Jake be pulled back in, or will it be a new set of characters?
It would still be, they would still be available if Roland made all the same moves and everything happened exactly the same way.
You don't think maybe it'd be a reincarnation of those characters, like a continuation of Cuthbert and Alan and Suzanne Delgado, or like same character qualities but different actual characters,
like a shuffle?
Yes.
Like shuffling the deck.
Exactly.
I'd never thought of that. You know what's interesting is like I think the last book between chapters it says the word shuffle. Like between chapters, like the breaks, instead of it having like a quote from a song or a quote from another author or some shit, it just says shuffle. I want to say that's the last book that it does that on.
You know, I wanted to go back and reread the series because I feel like there's a lot of hidden stuff in there because he does mention a lot of songs. He mentions a lot of different books. Have you ever read the poem by Robert Browning?
Yeah. Child Roll into the Dark Tower Came.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've read it, but I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I own it anywhere.
I mean, you can just readily Google it and look it up and read it because it's a classic work of art.
Yeah.
But
yeah, man. I wonder if Stephen King has to pay that guy any money.
I bet he hadn't seen a cent. But it's almost like, well, for one, it's written in a different time, and it's in English, but it's such an old English style that it's a bit hard to follow some of it. You know?
Yeah,
like,
I read it. I didn't understand it.
I mean, I got some understanding of it. You know,
like Shakespeare.
Like Shakespeare, yeah. Or, but some of it also seems kind of nonsensical. Like if you read like, the Alice in Wonderland Arthur, where he writes the poems like about the Jabberwocky and stuff. Like some of it's just not meant to make sense. It's just made up stuff.
Gobbledygook, kind of like Goo Goo Tube, and when you're listening to the Beatles.
Exactly.
And yeah, I am the Eggman.
Exactly. Or Nirvana, for instance. Like I used to think Nirvana was this great rock band, and I go back and listen to some of their lyrics. I'm like, God, this guy should kill himself.
Man, this music is helping me develop a taste for shotgun barrels.
I just want to taste lead. But yeah, like I just think there's such great lyric artists, and I'm like, I don't know why I was so into this shit.
Yeah, there's like I would love to talk to you about lyrics on songs because man, I struggle with that stuff because man, it sounds good when you don't know what the words are, like the way they sing it,
and just catchy.
And it's catchy and it moves you and stuff, and like the rest of the music does their job or whatever. And then you go back and read the lyrics, and you're like, doesn't make. Not only does it not make sense, but it sounds like stupid shit.
Stupid shit.
Like somebody just took the dictionary and just cut words out of it and then just threw them down on the ground and was like, we're just going to use these words today.
But somehow he was able to take a meaning out of that poem and make a freaking, 6, 7? How many books are in the series?
Well, I mean 7, but then if you count the short story and then Wind Through the Keyhole, I mean maybe you can kind of call them 9, and maybe there's another one. Maybe there's another one on the way too. Who knows?
I think there's more to be seen from it, but and if you count the Eyes of the Dragon, because it's kind of like a prelude story almost.
I need to read that. I started reading it. It was too childish for me, and I put it down. I never finished.
Well, I read it when I was an adolescent. I read it when I was young, but it was a good story. Like I could read it now, and it's still a good story.
I need to get after it for sure.
And now that I've read that series and I go back and read it, you see a lot of similarities in the antagonist and Roland the child, and you see a lot of connections, but nothing deep or profound. But it's still a good story. It's almost like reading the Deathly Hallows and then going back and reading the original Harry Potter story. It's like, wow, this is like really along the same storyline, but way more mature and way more developed. For
sure. Yeah, man. I've never read those books, but I get you.
Well, I'm just using that for example.
Yeah, but no, I'm picking up what you're laying down.
But with that being said, what was your take on the movie? I said before when we first started talking about the worst thing that happened to your some of your favorite stories is for Hollywood or a production company to get a hold of them.
Fuck. God damn. I mean, could they have fucked it up any worse? Dude, like, don't get me wrong. Idris Elba is a wonderful actor. He's a tough-looking motherfucker. But Idris Elba is not Roland.
They lost maybe. It's not that he's a black man or anything like that, but Stephen King was very precise and descriptive of what Roland looked like, the way he behaved, the way his whole,
What he was modeled after.
yes, and you can't put that much emphasis and description into a character and then just be like, oh, yeah, he'll work. Like no
Yeah.
way. I'm not saying
Yeah.
not saying they should have casted Clint Eastwood, but maybe his son.
Yeah, I think they could have, and man, I know that there's that whole black white talk or whatever, and it's like
It wasn't that for me. It was just,
there's a lot of there's a lot of people that talk about it and they get really upset. There's a lot of people that get upset because it's like, well, you just don't want a black actor, playing a good role or whatever. And it's like, it's not about that. It's like maybe if they would have gave him bombardier blue eyes, it would have been okay.
right, and
But then, but it's like every time Stephen King stops to describe Roland, it is word for word. It's crystal clear. It says bombardier blue eyes.
1,000-yard stare, snarl for a smile.
Yeah.
Thin-lipped. It just they lost me from that point. When I seen who
And
get cast support, I was like, this is gonna be a piece of shit, and I could have been more right. Like to try to cram that
it
much
was a piece
story.
It was a piece of shit, but it wasn't just because Idris Elba was playing Roland.
No.
They left out all of the good characters that helped craft a really good story.
Yeah, they tried to rush through cram that much information into one movie. For one, was a terrible idea. Never gonna work.
Yeah.
Two, they just significant key storylines.
Yes.
Uh,
Which blows away the significance of the whole Dark Tower.
I don't think
trek.
I finished it, bro. I don't think I even watched the whole movie. Like, was Stephen King even in that movie? Because in the book, he placed himself in the story. He's kind of like the Rose or this. He's the central.
They couldn't have done that. They didn't put him in. They couldn't have done any of that part of the story. The time traveling, the warping, I think they did do some portaling. I can't remember, but there was no Wolves of the Kala. I don't think there was a Thunderclap. I don't think there was Breakers. I don't fucking remember.
Was there? I know they had like the mouse people, like the people that had this,
the Tawheen.
Yeah, there you go. I don't remember. I like I said, I didn't watch the whole fucking movie. I got so pissed off. I was like, I'm not watching this piece of shit. It's not even the same story. Like it's a kind of similar story with the same name.
They could have just made a movie based on maybe the first and second book and called it a fucking day. If it succeeded, they can go on to make more.
That could have been a major movie series. Like
it could have been the next Lord of the Rings.
Could have been better. Yeah, it could have been. It could have been better
because this was Stephen King's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, this is his masterpiece. This is his brainchild. That he even said, "This is my masterpiece. This weaves in all my stories, and it's the keystone of everything that I've written."
Yeah, and then he had the audacity publicly. Stephen King, he came back and said, "They have not forgotten the face of their father when they made this movie."
They did.
Yeah, that was such a fucking pile of. That was like, how much money did he get from that?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what really upset me, is because, like I said, he's really for the avid reader. He's for his constant readers, and
but apparently the movie that they made of his work, he just didn't give a shit about.
I feel like that some of his movies, I don't think he takes a lot of like licensing into his movies, because you see like something like The Stand, he put a lot of work into that book too, and it doesn't come across the same in production. Like, not a bad film, but not as good as reading that book at all. It was a little better in a lot of senses. I think they kind of missed out on some details, like the whole child porn scene, for instance.
I don't remember that part. What are you talking about?
In the book, it's heavily implied that the reason that they defeated Pennywise the first time was because they all...
Oh, you just said it. I'm sorry. The phone cut out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it. Yeah, it. Like, they didn't really touch on that in the movie, and that's okay. I could see how that'd be pretty sensitive.
I could see how that'd be a problem. So, yeah, I've got a take on that, and I think I may have told you before, but when I first read that part in the It story, I was disgusted, because I was like, come on. Like, why does this even fucking have to be here? It doesn't make sense. It's gross. You know, how terrible. But then the idea came to me was that it, as children, Pennywise was still undefeated. He was only injured. He was like on the ropes,
Yeah.
and he still had his influence over them. They were lost in the sewers. They couldn't find their way out. So in order to, they didn't exactly know this, I guess, but in order to completely strip him of his ability to continue to conjure up illusions against them, is they had to rid themselves of their innocence.
Lose their innocence. That's right.
They had to lose their innocence, and to do that, they had to quickly become adults, basically.
So they thought that they had defeated him, but really all they did was they severed his influence over him.
Right, but she got the idea to do that, and that's how they were able to find their way out of the sewer. And I think that's pretty brilliant, but he could have also just not included that in the story at all as being a plot point, and we probably would have been okay with it.
Well, and like I
You know what I
said,
mean?
it's those uncomfortable parts of humanity that he's able to use to make his stories better. Yeah, it's a pretty sick thing. But
it is, for sure.
Was being molested by her father and shit. So in a sense, wasn't she already not innocent to begin?
No, it's heavily implied in both the story and in the movies, but it's never outright proven that that's what had been happening.
That maybe he hadn't actually done the deed. He just was obviously using her in a way.
Maybe he was like warming up to it.
Yeah, he was like grooming her.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. But yeah. Like Stephen King, he could have totally just been like, whatever point in the book, it was like they were exiting the sewers. They thought they got lost for a second. They saw a light at the end of the tunnel. Before they knew it, they were back out in the barrens. They were on their way to cleaning up and forgetting all about this whole fucking mess. But instead, he wrote a little subplot where they had to lose their innocence to completely eradicate his illusion over them so they could escape. And a lot of people take issue with that. A lot of people get upset about it.
I don't have it. It was uncomfortable, but I don't have it.
It was uncomfortable, for sure. And some people, if you say that to them, they will look at you different and they will treat you different.
Like you're a pedo or something.
Yeah. and it's like obviously, if you were listening, I told you it was fucking disgusting. I told you I didn't like it. But Stephen King doesn't write stories for you to feel good. He doesn't write the stories. He doesn't craft for you to be happy.
He makes you squeamish and uncomfortable. That's part of it. Whether
that's part of it.
Talking
Right,
about
exactly.
defecation or ejaculation, whatever he's talking about, he's going to try to.
Hey, you remember that really cool scene in the Stand where the trash can man gets violated with a handgun up his butt?
No.
What?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then he had what was the punk guy? I forget his name. He drove like a hot rod car.
Mm-hmm.
His name was like Kid or something.
Yes.
And he had to jerk him off.
So fucking weird.
Yeah. So White Kid had his handgun shoved up Trash Can Man's poop chute. Trash Can Man had to reach around to the back and then jerk his dick off until his hand went all slick with his semen.
To get it in, to get it out.
Yeah, before the punk guy would take the gun out of his asshole.
It's, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that happening.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but thank you. Now you've rejuvenated my understanding. And and Stephen King he'll admit, he's one of the first people to say, like, I have a very hard time ending my books. Like I have no problem, starting it, adding all the detail, creating a great story. It's just finishing it. It's like I've yet to get to a ending that I'm completely comfortable with, and he may have done that with The Dark Tower. I think he feels perfectly satisfied with that ending. Was everybody else that read it? Probably not. Like you have to like really think about it to accept it. But
yeah,
a lot of his books, you don't really realize how bad the ending is until it's put into a movie, and you're like, "What the hell?" Like The Stand was the first one. I was like, "That did not come across." Like when Trash Can Man are driving the nuke into the city, and it's like, "What the hell?" That did not. That looked, for one, that was very poor special effects,
Mhm.
even for that time.
Oh,
But
trashy.
yeah, yeah, it just was like, "What the hell?" That was horrible.
Yeah, I think in the book he went down a silo and pressed some buttons or whatever and launched a nuke, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't either. It's
Um,
been a long time
but I
since I read
do,
it.
but I do remember that he burned old lady Simple's welfare check.
The prophet lady.
It was some. He was made. When he was a kid, they made fun of him for catching fire to old lady Simple's welfare
Oh,
check. It was like a big deal to her.
yes. Yeah, he was a pyro.
Yeah,
He liked to set fires.
the trash can man. Yeah, I need to go back and watch that movie. I've got it. My mom bought the DVD. I don't know which made for TV series it was, but she bought it and she wanted me to tell her what happened at the end because she watched it and didn't understand it, and I read the book, and this was like 3 years ago, and I still haven't watched the motherfucker.
Yeah, because it's been done a couple times, hasn't it?
I think twice. I think
Yeah.
twice.
Yes, and the one I think I really remember was the made for TV like mini series.
Yeah, it was like a four-parter.
Yeah, and it was good. It just like it. I remember distinctly being like, "This is not near as good as the book. Like it's kind of horrible."
Yeah, man. Cat trips. It'll fuck you up.
But that's has a lot of ties to the Dark Tower. A lot of those like Randall Flagg and all them. They're
Beware the walking dude.
the Walking Dude. That's it. And I noticed he uses that moniker like RF. A lot of his recurring characters have RF.
Yeah, well, if their initials are RF, then it's another incarnation of Randall Flagg.
Right.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's that's who it is.
Unless of course Stephen King forgets and fucks it up, and a character just so happens to be an RF, but he didn't mean for it to be that way. I think he might have done that a couple of times. We'd have to look it up.
Yeah, I've researched some of that stuff, but you've caught me off guard with this whole podcast. If you'd have done this podcast with me, shoot, 2 years ago, I'd just be like blah 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 because I was so obsessed with it at the time. And
You were fresh off of a stint.
yes, and uh, I've read other series since then, and life happens. You get stressed out with everything else, but
Sure.
that's my
Yeah.
life. That's my reading and music and TV, but mostly reading. That's my where I live a lot of my life. That's where our enjoyment comes from. Of course, I take enjoyment
Yeah.
in my kids and everything else, but uh, reading has always had a big part in my life. That's why I end up with fucking tattoos from books.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I finally got that
Yeah.
crappy Game of Thrones tattoo covered up.
Oh man, you'll have to show me an old picture and a new picture.
I got them. Oh, it was horrible. I went to some tattoo place and was like, "Oh yeah, go to this guy. He's good." So I went and didn't have an appointment, and I just walked in and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." Well, it turns out the guy that owns the tattoo shop there, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I know him. This is the guy you need." And da, da, da. He was in the hospital from a motorcycle wreck or something, and his apprentice was running his shop or something while he was out, and it was just scribble, dude. It was horrible. And what it
Mm-hmm.
was like it was a stark crest of like a shield with a direwolf on it that says "Winter is coming." But I could have done it just as good with my left hand. I was like, "Oh, that's just the way." Once the ink sets in, I kept like making excuses in my mind, like, "Oh yeah, it's just the way it looks. And once the ink sets in, it's going to look good." And no,
Oh man.
no, no. If it don't look good when you get it, it's not going to look good.
Damn it, man. That sucks.
Yeah, right on my forearm too. I got a nice
What'd you get it covered up with?
a wolf, like a wolf wearing a Indian headdress with a rose underneath it, and a right below that is a death head's moth.
Oh yeah.
It's all kind of done in like a not American traditional, but like a neo traditional style.
Okay.
It's a lot
Cool.
better.
Cool. Yeah, you'll have to send me some pictures of that, man.
Oh, yeah, I'll send you pictures of my tattoos, my scrotum,
Yeah.
all
Your uncircumcised penis head,
that, and
please.
feet. Yeah.
Oh, no feet,
So
please. They're gross.
what would be some good quotes from the Dark Tower to incorporate into my tattoo? So I've got remember the face of your father. I've got all paths lead to the tower. I've got time is the thief of memory.
Yeah.
And then on the top of my foot, I got stand and be true. What would be some other ones to add in there?
Oh, I can only think of one, and that is some iteration of you must ask for aid and succor. Do you remember that one?
I do not.
So, like when he was traveling with his quartet before, I think it was before the call of Brian Sturgis.
Yeah.
They were being followed by some people, and they noticed, and they let these people approach them when they were making camp, and they got to talking about why this villager person was following them or whatever, and the guy wouldn't come out and say it, but Roland said, I can't help you. We are not going to help you unless you specifically seek aid and succor. And the guy had to say the words before they would, like a knight, arrive on scene to save the day or whatever.
So
Yeah,
these are like the old folks that the old timers that or was this the ones like that were from the Wolves of the Kala?
I think from the Wolves of the Call, I think this may have been the some of the people. I could be wrong. I might be getting mixed up, but I think this is the ones where they were they were dealing with the Runt twins,
Yes.
and the wolves would come once every season or 2 seasons or whatever it was,
Take away
and
one
round up the round. They would take one out of every twin,
and
and they
Runtum.
needed, yeah, and they sent them back runt
That was another
or whatever.
awesome little add on into that story.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, you speak of quotes, and that's the only one I can come up with. You may have to Google it what the exact one is, but
so you must ask for aid and succor.
succor, like SUCCOR.
Yes.
I think it's pronounced sucker. I know it sounds silly, but
I always pronounce it succor in my head, but you're probably right. I mispronounce a lot of shit in my head. If I'm not
yeah,
familiar
I
with the
think,
word,
yeah, for sure.
or if it's a
There's
made up
no,
name, I will
yeah,
have my own,
yeah,
and then I'll hear
yeah,
them
because
say it on something. And I'm like, what?
what? Yeah, what are you fucking talking about? For sure.
So succor is assistance and support in times of hardship and distress.
Yeah. How does it say it's pronounced?
Succor,
Succor? Sucker.
succor.
Maybe. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know because the way they're showing the pronunciation is not something. It says sucker is sometimes confused with sucker.
Mm. Listen up, sucker.
So yeah, I think you're right. Hmm. It's basically just another way of saying aid.
Yeah, but it's like aid, but also like help in the time where you are unable to take care of the problem yourself because you lack the skills.
Gotcha. Yeah, those people would not have. They would not even gathered up the courage to
Do anything about it.
confront the
Yeah,
wolves. Yeah, had not they had a gunslinger.
For sure. They did produce some Oriza plates though.
That's right. Susanna put those to good use.
Yeah, and then later Jake did in the Dixie Pig.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake fucked some shit up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely an awesome series, man. I'm talking about it now. I'm gonna go back and reread it all. And I've
Yeah, I think I
recently
will too.
listened to the Gunslinger on audiobook. So the fact of not even having, which I may have a paperback somewhere. I just all my other editions that are all hardbacks. So maybe I do have a paperback of it.
Certainly you do. But you should just go ahead and order a hardbound just to complete the set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that Malazan book I'm talking about is Gardens of the Moons by Stephen Erickson.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I got. Let's see. It looks like I got. Oh, hardback. Well, you give me. I think one of them
What?
actually was yours.
Oh yeah. You think so?
I think so. I think the original one I had was yours, and it got damaged when my house flooded back then. And he was like, "Just keep it. Hey, don't worry about it, bro. I'll get another one."
Yeah, it sounds about right. No problem.
So I got that one, and I got my actual copy with the paperback on it. I got Song of Susanna. Where are my other ones? I'm only seeing two right now. I got The Dark Tower. Okay, I got those three. Where is my... Oh, it's over here by my bed. I got... yeah, got Wisdom of Glass because that's my favorite one. I like to try to read every now and then. Have you read 11/22/63?
No, but I've had people tell me I need to read it. That's the one where the guy goes back in time to try to stop
Yes.
the.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to. I need to read it so bad for
I'm
sure.
about halfway through it. I haven't finished it. The reason
Can't be that good then.
No, it is really good. The problem is I have a hard time justifying reading an actual book to myself because right now I'm studying to take my license to get my tank setting license for doing in-ground tanks for fuel stations and stuff. And every time I even pick up anything that has written words in it and I read it and I'm not studying my study book, I feel guilty as fuck and I can't do it. So I've just completely put it to the side for now. Until I can take my test and get my license, and I'm gonna go back to it. But it's really good. I can't tell you how it ends or anything like that because.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it.
I mean, not tell you how it ends, but I can't tell you how good it is. Like in completion, I know what I've read so far is really good.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's a little interesting. It's kind of like some of his other stuff. Like sometimes they come back and.
I've never read that one.
I don't think I ever read that one. I think I just seen the movie. Or The Wraith. Didn't he write The Wraith?
I don't think so. But the Wraith movie is good. You lose the race, you lose your car. Ugly Howard.
Ugly Howard, yes. Oh my god. Let's see. The Wraith.
Are you Googling it?
Yeah. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought that was by Stephen King.
Yeah, I don't believe that it is, but it would be okay if it was.
Yeah, it's a terrible movie. If you go back and watch it again, it's like, I mean, it's still good. It'll always be good to me, but
sure,
it was just like, what in the hell, man? The 80s and 90s were so weird.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to catch up and talk about that stuff as well some other time. Maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm supposed to be on the phone for an hour, and
Yeah, and now you've ignored everybody in your house.
Oh, that's fine.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap it up here. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, man, for real. It's been a long time, and I've been meaning to catch up with you, and I'd like to talk more often going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, anytime. I always enjoy talking to you, man. You're always one of those people I have a good time anytime we talk. So
Same to you. I still tell other people that aren't nearly as important to me as you are to me, and how you were to me back then. I still tell people about you and stories, like things that we did together, and the good times that we had, and it's still meaningful and impactful. It still matters
absolutely.
for sure, man.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I do the same. Uh, it all goes back to that first time you walked up to me. It's like, dude, you ought to go home and build a lightsaber.
Oh
I
man,
was like,
yeah.
this guy's my buddy for life.
Go home and build a
He's so
lightsaber.
damn
Yeah.
weird and awkward. Like, I love this guy already. And Kevin Grizzle
Yeah.
too, man. I got a very short amount of time with Kevin, but Kevin was cool too.
Yeah, he was cool. He was definitely kooky.
Oh yeah, he fits right
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I wish he would have stuck around a little bit longer. I think I got him to read the Dark Tower series too. He had never read them. Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate you got me into it because it took a little pressure, but I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, for sure, man. Cool deal. I'll check out some of the books that you mentioned. I got them written down or saved to my playlist. So I'll check that out for sure and get back with you. Um, Matachu,
Proto.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Anytime, bro.
All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna sign her off here. Hey, if guys, anybody listening to this, if you liked it, like it. If you disliked it, fucking hit the dislike button. Leave a comment. Don't leave a comment. Do whatever. Subscribe. I don't give a shit. This is Protodead. I'll catch you on the flip flop.